Milano-Sanremo, it's not a lot. We are now inside the last 3 hours of racing.
Imagine for the riders, RCS very kindly place a couple of funny signs on the road, like 250 kilometer to go sign and the 200 kilometer. So when the next one they're going to see is going to be the 100 kilometer to go, and I think most of them are going to be pleased with that. You know, they feel they're getting closer to the finish line.
When you were racing, Jacopo, did you have little psychological techniques about distance? I know, for example, in Britain there was a famous British rider who I'm sure you've heard of, called Chris Boardman, and he used to, because we have two different systems, we have kilometres and miles, and it's actually miles which is used more in the outside of bike racing. It's miles that's used more, but it's a bigger distance. So he used to count up in miles and then down after the Torquino pass, he'd start to count in kilometres because they go faster. You tick them off quicker. Okay. On the first half of the race, he'd think in miles.
Because they're less.
That was his little trick. But did you count up? Did you used to think, I've done 50 kilometres?
No, I was.
Or were you always counting down in your head?
I was not checking much. I was just keeping an eye on the timing. You know, it was good to keep in mind what to eat, what not to eat. But at the same time, for me, the best was because the parcours again was always the same. So I knew each spot where we were, and just thinking, okay, we're here, so soon they're going to be this. You know, thinking like, I don't want to say kilometer by kilometer, but just thinking at the very next 10 kilometers. So this was helping me out a lot, because I remember when there is this giant commercial area, you know, in the Pianura Padana. I knew when you're there that the next one there's the village. So just keeping your mind entertained a little bit, and this was helping out a lot. And right now we just saw the breakaway is one of those how do you say, unmarked climbs. It was quite steep, as we said. You have a couple of quite steep little climbs that, you know, just disrupt a little bit the rhythm, but in a way they can help also, like preparing yourself for what's coming next. But you got this around this area between you got this around this area between Genova and Savona, and later on they're gonna have, of course, the most famous Capi. But even before finale, there is this famous images when they go inside kind of a cliff. If you know, you got a turn on the cliff. But you see, now the road is always like constantly up and down, gentle. Some parts a little bit harder, but it's never completely flat, except for I would say the last 5 kilometers on the approach of the Capi, but not much. It's always like constantly up and down, because Liguria is, despite being it's 4 mountains, and don't step away from the side. It's either up or
it's part of Italy where the Apennines literally just meet the ocean and they just fall into the water.
Yeah.
Interesting to see Pinarello Q36.5 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 riders up towards the front. And alongside Tom Pidcock is Javier Azparen with the moustache. He and Tom Pidcock have a really close relationship, and Pidcock will follow that wheel and sit on Azparen's wheel. Fred Wright also there, newly signed, of course, from Bahrain Victorious. Good to see, isn't it, Pinarello Q36.5? So it's always an expression of confidence in their leader, that they place themselves up at the front of the race, even this far out.
I think as a team they've been definitely boosted by the coming of Pidcock. And if you look at the recruitment they did this year compared to the year before, when Pidcock joined the team, you know, it was a massive improvement. It became like an appealing team for riders to go, you know. a tractor behind it, and more than one rider was happy to join. They had, I think, like, it's fair to say they had a very good recruitment. They had Alexandro Meuris, Kenten Hermans, Van Moer, Fred Wright. I mean, in terms of quality, they step up, and this because the team is appealing to riders. You know, they want to join the team because it looked like a well-organized team.
They also have, by some distance, the coolest bus in the entire convoy, don't they? I think the paintwork on there. But have you seen it yet?
No, the bus. No, I guess it will resemble the jersey. And
yeah, but it's even better.
It's even better.
Yeah, the black is all kind of matte. It's not shiny.
Okay.
And the gold is shiny.
The jersey is amazing.
Yeah.
From my point of view, it's classy. It's dark blue, and
yeah.
with the bike matches perfectly. I think, like, in terms of you know what the brand is, you know, because now they got Pinarello and Curry 6, they share the same ownership, but as a display of what they're able in style and everything, I think is massive. And let's face it, blue and black, they go super well together. You know, that's classy.
Time gap still going out, 4:22. So it's pushing out towards the biggest time gap that they've had all day. In the women's race, the race is 10 kilometers from the finish, so it won't be too long before we see the denouement, and they are heading towards the Poggio, where surely that race will change shape. We'll keep you posted on what's happening in the women's race. But for now, we're waiting to see any other light blue jerseys to join Van Dillier up towards the front, or indeed white jerseys of UAE Team Emirates, because soon Pogacar and Van der Poel are a little bit further back at the moment. Certainly Van der Poel was towards the back last time we saw him. There's Pogacar just coming into your shot now as they enter a feed zone. Just behind a cluster of yellow jerseys of Visma Lease bike. And there's the Van der Poel train a little bit further back down.
I'd be curious to see what just spot him on the peloton, to see Lewis Husky what is would be able to do freshly with this move to NSN team.
Yep.
He lived a good beginning of the season. I think he was quite consistent. You know, he can be good in this type of race. You know, especially if it comes down to a larger group. You know, if about 20 riders on the front, he might be up there. You know,
strong, isn't it?
He's strong, he's fast. He has the right amount of craziness to approach the descent. To be, you need to be a bit crazy, you know, because, I mean, the Cipressa, it's a demanding descent. Unfortunately, we just spotted a crash in the women's race, but it's demanding, it's challenging. You need to be good of handling your bike, and Lewis is definitely among those riders. So I think he can be good, and the shape he was showing in the earlier races of this year show that he's good. And I'll be curious to see what's the outcome of today's race for him. As we're moving a little bit with the cameras on the bike path. This been the old railway. Most of this side of this is called Ponente. Is the all what's come on the west side of Genova. It's called Ponente, and they almost recreate or repurpose all the old railways to create bike paths. And a famous one is here, and one of the oldest from Sanremo till Imperia and Bordighera, and then also the other part of it. And the general idea is create like a long bike path from Ventimiglia, so the border with France, till Genova.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it brings in tourists to this area because it's so popular, even at this time of year, isn't it? There's always people riding up and down. I dread to think in the summer it must get very crowded on that bike path, but it's a beautiful facility. I think there's over 80 kilometers of it, isn't there?
Yeah. And then on the other side of Genova, on the east side, you have the Cinque Terre, world famous. So, I mean, you have plenty of choice to enjoy yourself in Liguria.
There is a statue at the top of the Poggio, Jacopo, just by the left-hand turn. If you look right instead of left, there's a statue, and I can't remember the gentleman's name. There's a statue to the man who built that railway.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's where he lived. He was born and bred in Poggio.
Yesterday you were so fast uphill that you had time to...
He was big friends with Alfred Nobel, the physicist who spent the last years of his life in Sanremo as well. In a
He was a famous spot, you know, for aristocracy and people, you know, Sanremo back in the days.
In the Belle Époque.
La Belle Époque, exactly. And right after the finish line in Sanremo, there is like you cannot go unnoticed. There is an Orthodox church, a Russian Orthodox church, and today on the coming to the commentary booth we were reading, it was built by aristocracy, that the Russian aristocracy coming here in the 1920. So it was back in the days, and you felt it kind of get stuck a little bit in that time. You know, the whole region around here, has this sense of old-fashioned country, village, and cities. So that's the beauty of these villages here.
Really good slow motion shots that give you a sense of just how, and a little bit of a descent there, just giving evidence of what we've been suggesting about the nature of this road now. It is not flat, this coastal road. Sure, it's got flat sections, but not for long. One of these flat sections is through the next one of these lovely Belle Époque seaside resort towns, Varese. There you go. In the 20th century, it grew as a seaside resort.
As the gap going up, and nobody yet has come helping Dillier in the chase, as still losing time, which I guess is normal, and but yet no one is willing to coming up the front, as gap is nearly 5 minutes, the biggest so far in this two-day race.
It's interesting. It's an interesting tactic, isn't it? It's definitely. They are leaving it a little bit later than you might have expected to give Dillier a bit of support. And they don't want to commit another rider to the front and use up all of their resources. They'll be hoping and expecting some of the other big teams to help. But as you rightly say, well, why should they? It's Alpecin de Koning. They've won this race for the last 3 years. It's down to them at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
50 kilometers.
And at the same time, you know, it's so funny that I don't know, the mentality behind the peloton. It's like, if you're coming, but if you stop, then eventually they will arrive slowly. You know what I mean? And come to where they stop, cars completely stop pulling, and and talking about the wind, the big factor of the wind they could have done, but for the latest forecast it was really gentle breeze. Yeah, headwind, but very gentle, like we're talking less than 10 km per hour, even less than 5 km per hour. So don't have any impact on today's race, and it's just going to be, you know, standard. They could use standard.
So still Dillier on the front. We've got the team of Romain Grégoire, who've made their way up to the front to sit on the coattails of Pinarello Q36.5. That's Groupama FDJ United, as they are now known.
It would be interesting to see Grégoire. I mean, what I was telling before about the different preparation that is now put in place by teams and riders for Milan-Sanremo. Grégoire had a very successful beginning of the season. He won already in Ardèche. He was fourth at the Strade, like showing a very good form, and he didn't race neither Tirreno or Paris. And then instead of, he was keeping there and coming here, then he's going to go to the Cobalt Classics. He can be a protagonist today. He's a very punchy guy, punchy rider. It's fast. He can climb very well. Again, I mean, it's funny because we said on the paper it looks like a very good race for him, but yet another rider who can perform very well today race. Romain Grégoire, very young, very talented. It's going to be interesting to see if he can place himself, at the bottom of Cipressa. Let's not remember, last year he was the last man dropping from Ganna, Van der Poel and Pogacar. He was the fourth man on the wheel of those trio. If this year can get the 5% better, he might be among them on top of Cipressa.
Well, certainly his team are riding like they believe in him. Groupama FDJ United's. See the white jerseys of Tadej Pogacar's team riding in around about, well, they're around about the fifth team in a row there. A little trek. Ineos Grenadiers, then Polti Visit Malta are there. Don't forget 2 riders up the road and in the breakaway. Cox's got his team all around him. Dillier, yeah, you mentioned it earlier, it's hard to read the body language of Sylvain Dillier because he does rock around a little bit on the bike, which normally suggests that he's coming to the end. But the other thing we know about Sylvain Dillier is that when you think he's at the end, he isn't at the end.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this body language of him, it was already in Pavia. It was already like this. And it was 180 kilometers ago. So yeah. I think we cannot read too much into that.
Gelli Liguori is the next seaside resort they're passing through. These lemon-coloured houses and the pink as well, very characteristic of the Ligurian coastside.
So we're nearly breaking the wall of the 5-minute gap for 57 for the breakaway.
I mean, it'll be rewarding for the breakaway to know that they've got 5 minutes. They possibly wouldn't have been expecting to get this.
Not at this point, at least.
No, not at this point in the race. So it will be motivating for them. That there's a little bit more life in this breakaway than they might have anticipated. Don't forget that when they got off the descent, they had 2 minutes.
Yeah. And also think they played smartly, instead of going full gas already on the first part of the race. They waited patiently for the bottom of the Turchino to speed things up. And at this point, they have 5 minutes. This could allow them to hope into at least getting much closer to the climbs without being caught by the peloton. So let's see how it evolves. I mean, we were saying that usually being caught before the Cipressa, but now they have to speed things up at the back because the gap is slowly but growing.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, Dillier can't do this on his own, that's for sure. So for as long as Dillier is the only rider on the front, they're going to expand that lead. Little exchange of a word there between Maciulussi and Milesi. I think those two in particular, along with Mirko Maestri, are probably the most experienced riders in the breakaway. For managing a situation like this.
Yeah, it's good for them. It's going to keep them, collaborating until as long as they can, physically can, because we could fairly expect some of them cracking later on, because, I mean, they have been in a breakaway for how much? 180 kilometers as well. Yeah, at the same time as Dillier is at the front of the race. So, I mean, I think like you can start struggle, but let's not forget they still have 110 kilometers to go. So it's,
normally, if you're in a breakaway for 180 kilometers, you've won the race.
Yeah, exactly.
The race is over.
But not Sanremo. Sanremo is the special beast that need to be tamed, and it's not going to be an easy job for them.
So Pogacar's team, you can see just out of focus in the background there, still content to keep Sylvain Dillier pinned to the front as the time gap now does reach 5 minutes and goes over it. Inside 110 kilometers to go. That sail on that little boat there gives you an indication of both the strength of the wind and its direction, which is, loosely speaking, a headwind, but it's just very, very light wind indeed. Passing through to Savona next on our waypoint, our progress up the coast.
Very soon they're going to be in the city of Savona, one of the biggest harbor and hub for boats here in the north of Italy.
I wonder how many watts Lozano's flapping number has cost him.
No, I don't know, but already the sound will drive me crazy. So
you'd get rid of it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
The only Spanish rider in the breakaway, despite the fact that we've got two riders from the leading Spanish team, Movistar, up the road. And Mathieu van der Poel, with his teammates, are right at the back there. That's interesting, isn't it? That's a very relaxed position to be in.
Yeah, it's the only moment actually you can afford that, because crossing the villages here is not too demanding. It's not dangerous. It's the part we were saying before, like this part between Genova and Savona, and even later on is going to be the most relaxed part of the race for them in the finale, obviously, because the roads are quite big. There are not many obstacles around, and I think it's a good position for them, because the speed with just one rider pushing at the front is not going to harm them too much.
Well, I can tell you, on the Via Roma, right in front of our commentary position, right now the women's race is coming to a close.
Lotte Kopp is here, I think, if I saw properly. Just crossing the line in first.
We'll bring the result of that race when we got confirmation. Was indeed Lotte Kopecky, the winner of the second edition of the modern iteration of the women's race. And highlights of that race, I'm sure, will be available later on, wherever you're watching across the world. And still he goes on, the Swissman, the Swiss rider.
I wonder what is going on in his head, like wondering, when are they going to come to me, helping me out in this?
Yeah, weirdly, though, he's probably just enjoying it, isn't he?
You think? I don't know. It's getting too long since they haven't been... Yeah, I think you could fairly expect somebody helping him out at this point of the race, 100 kilometers to go. I mean, they had to eventually, looks like a little bit decadent from the roof, but it's actually well maintained. Very nice, Villa Farragiana.
It's a little bit like, in terms of the decoration and the style and the era, it's a little bit like the Nobel Villa in Sanremo as well, which is very highly decorated. And also recently renovated and privately owned as well. You can see by the clothing that people are wearing at the side of the road, it's not one of those really warmed editions of Sanremo at all. Temperatures in the low teens. There's a little bit of milky sunshine breaks out here at the finish line on the Via Roma. And that is what you were talking about as we approach Savona. Big shipyards that dominate the scene on this stretch of the Ligurian coast. You can see Savona from the coast a long way off. And a massive cruise ship is docked in the harbour.
Yeah, it's bigger than the buildings in the city. The race itself won't enter the city centre whatsoever. It's going to just stay on the coastline, and we see that the city itself is much more inland, and they're going to cross the harbour and then heading again on the coastline. But just to give you the size of this ship, is just massive, isn't it?
It's crazy. And there is a very relaxed two-time Milan-Sanremo winner. Earlier on in his career, I remember in particular going right to the edition of the World Championships in 2019, which was, of course, an amazing year for Mathieu van der Poel, because that was the year that he won Amstel Gold in that extraordinary performance. But one of the things that we used to say about van der Poel in the early years, around about there, 2019, 2020, was that he was sometimes vulnerable to a very long race. I remember in that edition of the World Championships, he went into he was a red-hot favourite for the race that year. Mads Pedersen ended up in Harrogate. And the legs just fell off, didn't they? Really suddenly and really unexpectedly with about 50 kilometres to go. And there were a few times in his early career where that happened. but I can't remember the last time it happened. He seems to have completely got through that tendency.
I think like if you think of Mathieu like it's faultless, he's always there. You know, it's like when he's on, because he has his day off, but when he's on, he's on. Like
in a stage race, he's very good at just knowing when to shut down and when to go. Yeah.
And even now at Tirreno, when it was the day he had to try, he was trying and he was succeeding. When it was too hard, okay, stay at the back. And I think like in managing himself, I think, you know, we often say like, we often talk today about nutrition and food and fueling. I think at this, he became like most of the champions, you know, very good at. So like being sure that he keeps himself fueled and ready for when it matters. And yeah, if Sanremo is the longest race of the year, you know, both in terms of kilometers and hours, and in the recent years, he never failed to be competitive. Even when he made his debut at this race, he was there, he was racing for victory, and that shows like his ability to prepare himself, to get himself ready and be ready for the long races of the year.
You can see it, can't you, by the riders' attitudes at the back of the bunch. That is not a peloton that's moving particularly quickly at the moment.
Yeah.
A lot of freewheeling, a lot of just coasting along at the back here. As the time gap with Dillier setting the pace goes up to 5:19. And now we are getting a little bit closer to the business end of this race. Just over 100 kilometers to go. And one of the biggest time gaps that the breakaway has had in recent editions of this race at this point in the race.
I mean, for some speculation, why not going on? Imagine the breakaway made it to the finish.
Stay. No, but like you rightly say, at some point they're going to have to, if this carries on, they're going to have to get to the front.
It's not a stage race where other tactic might come in play. Here, like is today, there's no tomorrow. Milano-Sanremo is one day, and you want to win it, you need to take your own responsibility. So eventually they had to show up at the front. And hopefully for them, they don't have to blow more than one rider, because still it's 5 minutes. I mean, even if they're tired at the front, and definitely they are, still there are 9 riders with 5 minutes 20 now over a peloton.
I suppose, Jacopo, it doesn't help that Jan Christen crashed out, that UAE Team Emirates are 1 man down. And that's probably clouding their thinking a little bit, like making them more reluctant to put a rider on the front.
Still, you cannot expect to use any of the other riders on his place, because I think Jan Christen was expected to deliver his performance on a climb, on Cipressa or on the Capi. I don't think Vermeersch now is going to be used for that instead, because he's just another type of riders. And Novak as well, and so surprisingly they aren't helping at this point. But again, I think eventually you have to, because I think Alpecin won't use anybody else.
I wonder if it's possible to interpret UAE's lack of presence at the front at this point as maybe they're holding something, they're holding everything back for a much more explosive and dynamic impact on the race. The closer we get to the Tre Capi, to really put the whole... That's when they use up Novak and Vermeersch, rather than expending one of them here at a more controlled state. That's another possibility.
Yeah, but what could be the outcome? I mean, it's not too demanding parcours before the Capi, you know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you,
stress
wait, well,
everybody?
let's call somebody.
I mean, I suppose it would stress a few of the riders out ahead of the Cipressa. It would put people possibly in a bad position.
Yeah. Yeah, but rather than that, still, it's 5 minutes. You cannot expect to regain 5 minutes even if they start 10 minutes before, 20 before, you never get 5 minutes back. You know?
No, but you take the 5 minutes on the Cipressa and the Poggio, don't you? I mean,
the Cipressa.
that goes quite quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still riding as if the breakaway didn't exist.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they're gonna be tired by the end of the day. You know, the guys in the breakaway, and of course, the speed will naturally increase later on. But you know, like we talk often about body language of Dillier, but now he's really suffering. This is without any doubt. So it's going to be curious to see when they're going to start helping Sylvain. UAE, it's their role to do so. But let's wait and see. I mean, it's going to be yeah, quite impossible for him to control this for a long time, and one moment or the other they're going to explode, and it's going to be up to UAE.
Almost 5.5 minutes now. Those very characteristic jerseys of the Unibet Rose Rockets have massed up on the wheels of Tom Pidcock's team. There's Pidcock, but he's got pretty much the whole of the Unibet Rose Rockets on his wheel now, including the Slovakian national champion Lukáš Kubiš, who is definitely a rider to watch in the finale. He's wearing the white kit, there we are, with the red and blue bands.
You just like a little bit of experience as a team for this kind of race, but we mentioned earlier that they're racing really good, and Kubiš was kind of a surprise last year, you know, with a lot of good results over especially the first part of the season in the classics, and it's a very fast finisher, but not just a pure sprinter, so he can survive the climbs, and it would be interesting to see where he goes. Today is probably is going to be a learning day for him, but it's going to be all vital for the future. He has good characteristics for this kind of race as a classic rider.
So 5 minutes and 31 seconds as the young Frenchman Alexis Faure-Post of Picnic Postenel does his turn on the front, along with Tarozzi, Marcellucci and the pair from Polti Visit Malta. And Sylvain Dillier is powerless to really affect this beyond what he is doing and has been doing and can do, as that gap goes out, and he awaits any kind of support from any of the other big teams, who are all prepared just to sit on the wheel of the Swiss rider from Alpecin Premier Tech. His team leader, Mathieu van der Poel, last time we saw him, was right towards the back of the bunch, and very, very relaxed about this position indeed. It's primarily the white jerseys of UAE Team Emirates who you might expect to see sharing the work on the front, while this dynamic sets in now as we are within 100 kilometers of the Via Roma in Sanremo. 2/3 of the race done, 1/3 remain, and it's the critical third of the race as we are well onto the Via Roma now, and not too far from the beginning of the undulating part of the road before the two famous right turns onto the Cipressa and then onto the Poggio. Exiting the big city of Savona, 5.5 minutes after the breakaway has already gone through. Dillier is just being hung out to dry now by this race, by the even by his own standards, where he does look a little bit uneasy on the bike. I think he is beginning to really feel the fatigue. It's not just the way he's rocking from side to side, he's beginning to grit his teeth now, and that's always an indication that it's starting to really hurt.
No wonder why. I mean, so many kilometers is up at the front. So what he's doing is impressive, because he controlled the whole race, he did like alone doing all this job. But yeah, definitely is in pain, and you see, as you pointed out, that the speed is not that high. You see a lot of riders freewheeling, even at the front. You know, everybody is seated comfortably. The speed is not too high. It's quite of a compact peloton, not really stretched out. Still going up, 5:42 at the moment.
Well, it's a gamble, isn't it? It's a game. It's an interesting game of. We call it in English. We call it chicken. A game of chicken.
A game of chicken.
Yeah. It's when you just hold and hold and hold. You try and call the bluff of the other teams.
I mean, since they started with the bluff, they had to keep up. You know, they cannot stop now.
No, that's true. Otherwise, what was the point in the bluff?
Yeah, exactly.
Here's one of these little uncategorized climbs up and over a headland, quite steep at this point.
still see like this is like a reassuring images for everybody that is going to be a sprint at the end. Oh, sorry, it's going to be played out between the peloton, because you see they're struggling when it comes uphill and they lose speed. You sense there is a lot of fatigue at the front.
Yeah.
As they're getting close to Finale Ligure, halfway on the coastline, we're about 40, a little bit more than 40k from the first Capi, and pretty soon even there's going to be a little bit less villages heading to Finale. Savona is the last city before Imperia, which is another province, and soon the peloton will be there in about 5 minutes as well.
Yeah, I think one of the, we spoke about it earlier, you were talking about Imperia, but I think also the little town of Laigueglia is one of the really kind of like, that's another landmark on this race, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you get to Laigueglia.
Yeah, you have this long road with the trees on the side and long straight lines before, after Alassio, and then head into Laigueglia, and I wonder if we're going to see on TV, Alassio is the village before Laigueglia on the way for the race. They got this lettering similar to Hollywood, you know, like on the rocks.
Yeah. And at the top of the first of the Tre Capi, the Capo Melle, there is a big lighthouse that marks the beginning of the Tre Capi. And I did a little bit of research into that lighthouse a couple of years ago. I must have been extremely bored sitting at home. I was watching, that's right, I was watching Trofeo Laigueglia and thinking about the lighthouse there. And I discovered that there are 498 lighthouses around the Italian coast.
That's a lot.
Yeah, well, there's 8,000 kilometers of coastline.
Yeah, but I would expect like we're way less than this.
Yeah, there's
okay.
A lot of them. But that particular lighthouse is the second most powerful in all of Italy.
Really?
The most powerful lighthouse is on the island of Sardinia.
Okay.
And but the Capo Melle is the second most powerful. And here's a question for you, Jacopo. How far away do you think you can see the light from that lighthouse in kilometers?
3K?
21 kilometers away.
No way.
Yeah. There you go.
21? Okay, it was nowhere near.
The lighthouse in Sardinia is 24 kilometers bright.
Whoa.
Yeah. There you go.
Something.
It always amazes me that the year is 2026 and we have all this technology and, you know, sonar and radar and GPS, but lighthouses are still really important.
Yeah. It's kind of a backup also. But
thousands of years old, isn't it, the idea of putting a light on?
I think it works also, you know, for smaller ships, doesn't have all the technology that might have the bigger one.
Yep.
But also, now we're talking about what's happening in Iran and everything. It seems like a very grey area, you know, the shipping and everything, like with those ghost ships floating around in Europe and Mediterranean Sea. It's an interesting world.
It's pretty wild.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Monsieur Dillier still on his own, and there is Isaac Del Toro, about whom we have speculated a lot. One for sure, Isaac Del Toro, I think, will have more of an impact. However he's used, whatever he does, he will have more of an impact on this edition of the race than he did last year, where he wasn't so involved. And you were talking about the massive contributions of Narvaez and Wellens. Del Toro wasn't such an important player last year, but he's going to have to be this year.
Yeah, he was surprisingly, he was out of position on the beginning of Cipressa. He came in very late, and his contribution, as you said, was very short, very small, and I think it just was a bit overwhelmed probably by the race itself. You know, I didn't expect to be this much, and it was a pity because yes, he had a fantastic season. It was not like not in shape. So I think this year, with the experience of last year, with a little bit of an adjustment, you know, it just needed a fine tuning. And with this year, it's gonna definitely be up there. And again, he might be the role player today. You know, he can be the balance who can change how the race will go today. And I'll be very curious. I mean, he started this season with definitely another mentality, with another confidence. is just another rider compared to 1 year ago. You know, 1 year ago.
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
But imagine how much he won.
The difference in 1 year
Yeah.
in Isaac Del Toro's life is extraordinary. Isn't
Yeah.
it? Like this time last year, he was one of the most promising youngsters in the peloton.
And now he's
And now
top player.
he's a champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's I think this is gonna play a big role in his approach to the race, and yeah, we'll be very curious to see it. Shape is there. I mean, he just won Tirreno, so it's gonna be a real important rider for today in today's race.
Well, 6 minutes with 90-odd kilometres remaining. That is a surprisingly large time gap for the breakaway.
Yeah, I mean, we spent the whole day saying how much the peloton not allowed to leave more than few minutes to the riders, and now we are at 90 kilometers to go with 6 minutes. So I'm glad the peloton is here to show us wrong, you know, to prove us wrong.
Well, every year we get this lovely look at this island with its ruined fortification right at the top. Seagulls using it as a little perching point. And the old monastery there. Basically, that is the top of an Apennine mountain, isn't it? It's just that the rest of the mountain is underwater.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Rocky coastline.
Back at the peloton, they are now in Noli. One of the very famous cities, or more accurate, village of this part of Liguria.
And a little bit of a descent. Just confirmation of this headwind. 20 kilometers an hour.
A bit more than what we were saying. So probably it's just changed a little bit over the last few hours.
The wind on this coastline, well, on any coastline, but particularly here, Jacopo, because of the rocks and the cliffs and the mountains, it does tend to sometimes disappear. Other times it comes in gusts as you come around a corner. It's quite playful, isn't it? In that
it's
sense.
not a straight line, obviously, and it's always twists and turns. You know, go inside a little bit more like mini gulfs. You know that the riders are riding on, and that's play a big role because obviously, as you said, it changes a lot towards the parcours, and there might be some part more exposed to wind and other parts a little bit less. The finale itself, it's quite covered except for the real the approach of the Cipressa, which really on the side of the seaside. You know, it's really on the coastline. The remaining part before the Poggio is a little bit more inland, as well of most of the Capi. So it's just won't have much of an influence, especially with this strength. You know, need to be much stronger to have a big influence on the race and the outcome of it.
Well, you might be able to hear in our microphones that we're using here at the finish line in the commentary box the strains of the Belgian national anthem being played. Lotte Kopecky is standing at the top of the podium, having taken victory just a short while ago in what looked like a thrilling finale of the women's race. Who's going to win the men's race? Who knows? We are no wiser or clearer. All to play for here in Milan-Sanremo, as it always is. You wait and you wait and you wait, and then the most explosive finale in all of racing always delivers the excitement. That much is guaranteed. What is not guaranteed at all is who's going to come out on top. A situation like this, Jacopo, about making that big call as to whether to send a rider up for UAE or not. Whose decision is that? I mean, does it vary from team to team? Whether you've got a big leader, a big champion like Pogacar, do you think the impression that you get of Tadej Pogacar, do you think he makes those decisions on the road himself? Or do you think he defers to maybe a road captain in the team? I think Rafa Majka used to be that guy a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah, they're so young as a team in here, you know. So either the decision is coming from his side, or he called for this, or the director, they might have a master plan. But it's clear that there is a clear decision not to help him, because there was never near the front, you know, the whole team, and leaving everything on the shoulder of Alpecin. I mean, it's always like a funny, how do you say, a funny tactic putting on, because of course, like, you can play and waiting and hoping that Alpecin will use more than one rider, but I think even if they do so, won't change much the strength of Alpecin. The strength of Alpecin is the rider themselves, you know, because after Cipressa, it's going to be just up to very few and selected group of riders. So even if Alpecin decide to just, okay, we're going to use another rider, okay, fine with that. I don't think so, because they will have done already, not waiting this much. But even so, like, it won't change much in the strength of the team. Well, and at the same time, not using a rider for UAE won't change much. That's my point of view. Won't change much the outcome of today's race. I mean, it's impossible that the World 7, now they're already 6 in the UAE team, they will survive the Cipressa. It's very unlikable. So better use somebody now and put everybody in a chance of getting off and in a race, because also like this, imagine they approach the Capi and they want to do something crazy, launch somebody on an attack. If you have a breakaway with 3 minutes ahead of you, you're just laying in the land of nowhere, so it's because they know you're not up for the victory, because you're never gonna catch the group ahead of you. So I don't know. I get what they're doing, but I don't agree it's the best choice. I mean, but I'm not sitting in the car, so that's why I'm here, I guess.
Well, I'm quite happy with their choice at the moment, because I think it's adding a certain kind of intrigue and a bit of a mystery that you don't normally get at this point in the race.
Yeah.
Trying to second guess what UAE are thinking, I think, is fascinating. We sort of know what Alpecin are thinking. We understand what they're all about. We just don't know what's inside Tadej Pogacar's head at the moment.
But I think we're gonna soon find out, and like by speculating and talking, we're getting close to the approaching of the Capi, and it's gonna be hiding anymore. It needs to be like, okay, place your card. It's the poker kind of finish in there. The mind game need to come to a point where you need to just turn your cards and show what you want to do after today's race.
Monte Orsino is another one of these landmarks that we tick off. The big tower and the crenellations. Still got all these 9 riders together. Still got David Lozano with his flappy number. Even if he hasn't ripped it off, I'm surprised that some of the other riders haven't ripped it off. The annoying sitting on the wheel. 6 minutes and 25 seconds.
So you see, anyway, that the speed is not super high on both the breakaway and the peloton. It couldn't be any different, since how the race is been approached and everything.
Well, it's still an average speed of 45 kilometers an hour, so it's kind of pretty much bang on schedule with the last few editions of the race, which have all been just over 45 kilometers an hour average speed.
Definitely, it will increase later on in the race.
Victor Campenaerts riding alongside Mathieu van der Poel, who is talking on the radio. We don't know what about, we know who to. He might just be discussing what they're going to have for dinner. But I think it's unlikely. I mean, he will be scratching his head a little bit here, won't he? About how to deal with UAE's determination not to help in the break. But he doesn't seem too bothered at the moment as he has a little chat with Campenaerts.
Yeah, I think it doesn't bother. I mean, again, he won 2 times. He won this, so better than him. He's cool in a way that it's cold-minded. It's super cold. So I want it, okay? If you want it, just go ahead and try to grab it. He has this unique position, that he knows that what he achieved already can help him out in chasing another victory.
Yeah. Yeah, despite all that, he's some way down on the tally of monument victories that Tadej Pogacar has picked up, partly because of his dominance at Lombardia. That's where he's really big.
And trying to
do a feature there.
Take away like Lombardy from today.
Yeah. If Tadej Pogacar were to win Milan-Sanremo today, he would move to second place in the all-time Monument Classics table, albeit level on 11 victories with the great Roger de Vlaming, and 8 Monument victories short of Eddy Merckx. That's if he wins today.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. I mean, it was another cycling though, but I mean, even considering or pretending not to consider that it was a different cycling back then, it's an impressive number. 11 victories in a Monument, and adding all the rest, you know, the Grand Tours, the Worlds, and all the remaining races we are not even mentioning. So that's what makes him such a champion.
Well, if he wins the Tour de France this year, which there's a very strong possibility he might, he draws level with Eddy Merckx in terms of Tour de France victories, doesn't he, on 5? Not just Merckx, he draws level with Indurain, Anquetil and Eno as well. And of course there was a certain discredited Lance Armstrong in that category as well. Those victories that I don't think any of us really in cycling quite know what to do with.
Yeah.
Look at this coastline there.
Yeah, this is the famous coastline between Nolli and Finale Ligure I was mentioning about. An amazing sightseeing of the Ligurian coastline.
And the photographers always climb up on that little rock, don't they?
Yeah.
It's just quite impressive. Getting down isn't straightforward either. Good luck. Absolutely tremendous. Think of the variation in the topography and the just the characteristics of the land since we set off from Pavia. Think of those flat farmlands, those long arrow straight roads, the Renaissance towns to the left and right, and where they are now, it's a different world entirely.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Italy. I think something unique about Italy. You can span from the Alps to this, the flatlands. You can have volcanoes. It's a place with many particularity, I would say. So we're back at the front with Civernelier in French. I think in English as well. Grimace.
Grimacing. Yeah, grimacing. It's getting more and more pronounced.
Yeah.
With each kilometre as well, his grimace.
As the gap is still crazy, still getting bigger. We're getting close to the 7-minute mark.
We're missing one of the Movistar. Oh, there he is. Manlio Moro just coming back, so we've still got all 9 riders. We'll be absolutely, well, they'll be really quite surprised at this point, I think, to know that they've got 6 minutes and 40 seconds with 84 kilometres to go.
Yeah. Even more.
I mean, this definitely brings the Cipressa into play. Whatever happens now, they're going to get to the Cipressa.
Yeah, getting there, 100% sure.
Whether they get to the top of the Cipressa, well,
be seen.
That's a very different question. But in a lot of editions recently in Milan-Sanremo, they don't even make it to the Cipressa. It's normally the Tre Capi where it falls apart completely.
Yeah. No, it's definitely been a completely different approach from the peloton and notably from UAE, and very likely, as you said, they're going to put in place like one shot, a very strong take of the as we now witnessing the in more than 2,000 years ago. The wars between Italians or Romanians and
Of course, we've been talking only as if 2 teams exist, Alpecin and UAE, and that's not true, is it? There are lots of other teams here who've got high hopes for this race, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if, I don't know, Lidl Trek or possibly Decathlon or even Groupama put a rider on the front and they reacted before UAE.
Yeah, who knows? I mean,
they don't have to, but
they don't have to.
But it might happen.
Might happen, yeah.
Is he going to move up a little bit? We've been referring all the time, like you just need to be able to stay on the wheel of today, and another thing is like just taking the responsibility to bring him closer to the finish line. So it's unlikable, but
let's wait and see if some leaders feels like so good that he want the team to back him up heading to the Cipressa and the Capi before that.
A glance there between the young Frenchman and Lozano, David Lozano. Looked like he might have been missing a turn there, Lozano. They will be exhausted at the front, won't they? I mean, well, it's been 200 kilometres now that they've been off the front.
Yeah.
And they'll be factoring that into their thinking back in the bunch as well. This isn't a normal day of racing. This isn't a normal breakaway. This is a breakaway that will be right at the limit right now. Now then, white jersey, moving up on the left-hand side of the road. And
Novak.
There we go. So the expected rider has appeared, but he's just appeared a little bit later than we might have thought.
And Sylvain Dillier seems like a little bit over the limits. I don't know how much the contribution is going to be from Dillier with Novak at this point. Let's wait and see if he still has some juice left in the legs to out Novak. It doesn't seem like. I think it's going to swing off Sylvain Dillier. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. The gambling. They crack on the gambling, I think.
They cracked. The game of chicken, and they chicken first. And you're right. And now they've done this, for Daerone Novak, the job he's got to do is that much harder.
Yeah. And sometimes you know, that's why sometimes it's hard for me to understand what's the tactic behind it. I mean, if you want to pull, or if you know you need to pull, why make his life much harder, you know?
Yeah. Now that it's just happened, I completely agree with you. He's got no Dillier to work with. They've pinned Dillier, they've burnt him out earlier than he would have been expecting to burn out as well, because he was all on his own. And so Daerone Novak, on his own, has got to bring back a breakaway that is 6 minutes and 45 seconds up the road.
He's going to have to work hard now to take it back at least on a much more reasonable distance. I mean, as you said, on the Cipressa, the speed difference between the peloton and the breakaway is going to be huge. Like, I mean, they're going to gain like 4 minutes probably just on the Cipressa.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they're using anyway the rider. So I don't know. Far from my understanding.
The wind is getting up a little bit as we hit 3 o'clock in the afternoon here on the Ligurian coast, and even here at the finish line in the shelter of the houses, the very top of the tall palm trees, are swaying a little bit in the wind. So it's just getting a little bit breezier throughout the afternoon, which was forecast that the wind will get stronger.
Yeah. Seems like the clouds are moving away from the finish line, so we expect some sun, and we're more than pleased in that.
Well, it's not going to be wet, is it? I can't think that we're going to get any rain.
No. It seems like very unrealistic at the moment. The peloton, as you could expect, to regain a time over the and now the triangle, the green triangle being green, so in favor of the peloton.
Yeah.
As
the fresh legs of Daerone Novak starting to make a difference.
Yeah. So we can assume then later on that during the next climb is going to be much more the job of the likes of Florian Vermeersch, which was you know, in fine shape in the recent races, and probably Brandon McNulty. That my expectation is that they're going to save Del Toro and Groschartner for the climbs, and using the bigger guys, you know, for the approach and the Capi, where much more powerful is needed to have a high speed, and definitely neither Vermeersch or McNulty are having a lack of pure and raw power.
Just at the breakaway, next time we get a look at it, just keep our eye a little bit on the Spanish rider David Lozano. From my observation over the last 5 minutes or so, And he is coming through now. I was just wondering whether he couldn't contribute any more, because it did look like he was beginning to miss a few turns, and he might be one of the riders who is perhaps more vulnerable than the others.
Yeah, it's fair to say on the first Cup, he probably this bunch, this breakaway of 9 riders won't be together anymore. One all of them together. So it's yeah, it's gonna be a hard task for them to keep this advantage. Again, let's not be scared by this huge gap. Like in such a race, the difference between a bunch of 9 riders which have been on the road at the front falling half for now roughly 230 kilometers, and the peloton with fresh legs of the world rider is going to be a huge difference. Easily they can get 3-4 minutes in just one climb in the Cipressa, but even with the Capi, a lot of time can be regained over them.
Yeah, the behaviour, there we go. So Lozano...
Oh, I think it's Peron.
It's Lozano.
Ah, okay.
Right, yeah.
I got fooled by the number. It was,
I think I misidentified. I think it was Peron's number, actually.
Okay,
it was,
okay.
That was flapping around. Lozano, yeah, it did look like he was just beginning to struggle, and I think that's, well, that is it. Lozano drops, so we've only got 8 riders left in the breakaway. 77.7k to go. And we've got around about 20 kilometres, just a little bit over that, until we get to the Capomelle.
Yeah, now some tunnels for the peloton as they, as you said, getting closer to the city of Albenga. Is going to be a first moment of stress for the peloton as they're going to approach the city center. So a little bit of technical part because they're going to leave the Aurelia for a brief moment, entering the city of Albenga. Then it's going to be the time for Alassio and then Laiguelia. Laiguelia lays down, sorry, at the bottom of the first of the Capomelle.
Andrea Peron just glancing around to check on the progress of his teammate David Lozano, who he realises has just dropped away now, leading 8 riders with 6 minutes and 11 seconds to defend. So quite quickly Domen Novak has taken back all on his own 30 seconds from the breakaway, but 20 more seconds still to take. Yeah, that point you were making about this race distance really exaggerates the twin effect. There's 2 things that happen at a race like this. The peloton gets faster and the breakaway gets slower, and if it was a graph, the 2 lines would sort of meet and converge.
Yeah. Usually.
And they get slower quicker, and the peloton gets faster quicker, and eventually the speed at which the time gap evaporates gets quicker and quicker and quicker.
Yeah, and usually, as you said, usually there's 2 lines where we're crossing each other before the Cipressa. Today might be the case on the Cipressa,
yeah.
But eventually will happen. Already now with just 1 guy pulling, I mean, it was fresh legs, but he regained almost a minute over the breakaway, and this is going to be the trend from now on. You're never gonna witness another time a red arrow on your screen is just gonna be in favor of the peloton, as the speed for the peloton will never decrease, and the closer we get to Albenga, the city of Albenga, the faster they will go because of the stressful, and everybody will be in a good position, and it's fair to say so they're gonna get caught. Really moment we're really doing cycling and speculating they might have a chance, you know. Also to keep everybody entertained.
So that is where we are, halfway really between the foot of the Torquino, where they hit the coastal road of Via Aurelia, and the finish line in Via Roma. Between 2/3 and 3/4 of this race is behind us already. And we've asked a few questions about the big 2 favourites, Pogacar and Van der Poel, and we've had no answers yet. We do not know what is going to happen when we get to the Cipressa. Right down the road, we've decided to take control of the peloton, and having done the opening 230 kilometres of this race or thereabouts, cede control of it to UAE team members. minutes, for now at least.
And I can feel myself the stress, you know, getting close to the capo. And in the peloton, we would imagine like the moment is like a clock ticking, and you know, like you need to be there at that moment, and everybody's like building up themselves, you know, also getting ready mentally and physically to this massive effort that's going to start there. The first two, as we said, we can dive into the Capi a little bit before we're heading there. So for you doesn't know, like those Capi is they're on the coast. There's not any deviation from the main road for the peloton, and not very hard in percentage whatsoever. The first one is 1.6 kilometer at 4.8%, quite steady one. Second one is the easiest, Capocervo 1.4 at 3.2 for the riders. It's barely a bridge, and after that there's going to be a little bit extra kilometers before the last one, the Capo Berta, which is the hardest. 1.9 at 6.2, but with a percentage much harder, roughly 8%, and main and hardest of the Capi. After that is going to be descent, Imperia, and then about 6-7 kilometers before the approach of Cipressa, and from there on is going to be game. Cipressa is 5.7 kilometers of 4%. They're going to go down on a steep descent, quite technical. We witnessed crash in the women race earlier today. But definitely after 295 kilometers, a challenging climb, especially when the race is going to be full on before that.
Yeah, the Cipressa descent is much steeper than the Poggio descent, isn't it?
Yeah, and also very technical.
Yeah.
You have this kind of airplanes. In Italian we said curve radicchio. Radicchio is the radish, or you know, the red ones, because they start with a it seems like it's cornered quietly, and then all of a sudden it just close down the trajectory. So it's not very easy. That's why like having a recon of the parcours of the Sanremo is vital. Not that much for what's before the climb, but also to know how to approach the descents, how to approach the climb, because the speed they're climbing actually is vital. We said earlier, expect big fireworks on the climb, on the Cipressa, when they're going to do the hairpins on the right, and after that is the hardest part, and where basically Pogacar launched his own attacks in the last years, and that's the hardest part, and that's where we can fair to say we can expect a lot of action from the riders, and if you know the parcours, you can place yourself. You know what to expect. You know when it's time to replace yourself, and that's why so many riders been on the road doing recon, and the best was Pogacar, who lives not far because he lives in Monaco, but he raced so many times, he did so many recon, but nonetheless he was there in the recent days testing again the parcours ahead of today's race.
He has done a lot of reconnaissance, hasn't he, this year in particular, heading towards this race. There's no fault in his preparation. He has been methodical about preparing for the Cipressa and the Poggio. Even the day before yesterday, he was out on the road.
Yeah, it's I mean, he just want to tick the boxes for the victories. You know, he just want to be the best of the best, and he knows he has to win this one, Paris-Roubaix, and the Vuelta to accomplish that, and he's trying to do. And he knows everything has to go in the right place, fall in the right place today in order to take this one home. You know, probably on the paper is the hardest one for him to win, because he needs to drop everybody, and the parcours doesn't help him. It's not hard enough for him to drop everybody.
Mathieu van der Poel has started to react a little bit to the imminence of the Tre Capi. He's moved up on the left-hand side of the road from his position almost at the back of the peloton. He's about 2/3 of the way back now, just in a very relaxed and very controlled manner, just starts to move a bit closer to the front.
Still Novak leading the peloton, and the ever-present Pinarello Q36.5, and just behind the Slovenian riders. Tom Peacock slotted him a little bit more back. No, yeah, he's there. He was hiding behind the big figure of Fred Wright.
He's only small.
Yeah. I was not able to spot him.
No.
It's very idle as well.
There he is.
And you feel the tension picking up a little bit. and there's no way back from here. You know, all the teams are now gathering together, moving up gently at this point where the speed is not yet too high, so you don't spend too much energy. But soon we're gonna witness everybody wanted to stay in position. And again, mark my word, from Albenga on, that's the moment that Albenga, everybody knows, is tricky. Probably some of you remember when a couple of years ago on Mikel Honoré, he had an horrific crash, luckily without consequences, on a traffic sign. It's dangerous, it's tricky. You have some islands, traffic islands, so you need to be in position because you don't want to spend energy and you don't want to be in danger or being caught up in a crash by some other rider. So Albenga is the first line for the riders. The last bottle is going to be given out before the city, and then from there on it's the war has started.
What was the word for the hairpins on the Cipressa descent? What did you say the Italian
Radicchio.
was? Radicchio.
Curva Radicchio.
I don't understand why they're like radishes. Why are they like radishes?
Radishes isn't
the shape of a radish, or
yeah?
What? Oh, okay.
You know the one from Treviso. Radish is the red ones, no?
Yes, but it tastes very
bitter.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know, in Treviso there is a special one. They're a bit longer,
okay.
And they go up and then.
So not like because we have round radishes.
No, this is the
longer one. Almost more.
If you look on internet, for you, those of you listening home and not understand like the rubbish I'm saying, like try to type on internet Radicchio Trevigiano, and then you notice like
what a Cipressa.
He start curving and then bump. All of a sudden he just shut down the corner. You know, just get much more narrow, much more tight.
.542 then, the time gap. Domen Novak making the difference at the moment. 70 kilometres, just inside 70 kilometres to go. That little arrow is pointing up and it's red again.
Yeah.
He's taken a lot of time quickly, but he's no longer taking the time quite as quickly.
Yeah, it was, we just said it's going to be just green in favor of the peloton, but yeah, slow it down a little bit. Probably also is the last biggest effort for the breakaway. It's still on a manageable distance, you know. It's going to be very hard for them to keep a high speed because especially on those type of climbs, you know, when there is no much climbing and percentage, it's super hard to keep a high speed compared to the peloton. So this can change a lot for the breakaway in order to keep a good speed and a good advantage over the peloton.
A little bit overcast now on the Via Aurelia. Still that little white dot doing the work on the front. So, well, he's actually a very big rider, isn't he, this Slovenian, Domen Novak. And still, Pinarello Q36.5 have had their whole team on the wheel of both Dillier and Novak.
So we see also Lotto Intermarché approaching the front with Jonas Rusch at the front, with Stork and Eriksen over there, the left side of the screen with the distinctive black jersey.
No Novak on the front anymore. So they've handed over to all the other teams to do the work, and there are 3, 4, 5 teams willing, it seems, including Javier Azparin for Pinarello Q36.5 on the left-hand side of the road to do the work. Anyway, 67.2k to go. The time gap is coming down. We've got around about just over 10 kilometres to go until the first. Coming up to the men's race. Hannah, but just briefly, what did we miss in the women's race?
A lot. I don't want to give it away, just in case anybody's wanting to make sure that they can catch up.
We have said who won, but
you have or haven't?
That's all we've said. We've said so far that Lotte Kopecky got the victory, but
yeah.
it was a good race, right?
Great race. It had everything. Plenty of attacks. There were big surges. There were splits. It all came back together. It was a thrilling finale. So certainly one to, if you didn't see it so far, watch it on Catch Up.
Yeah. Highly
recommend. And I was just getting an opportunity to speak to one of the team owners of SD Works Pro Time, and he said the way that the race played out was exactly what they had in mind, how they planned it ahead of time. So not often that teams can say that, to be honest.
Well, so far, I think probably Alpecin Premier Tech could probably say it's played out pretty much exactly how we wanted to. They've only really dispensed of the services of Sylvain Dillier, who's dropped from the very front of the bunch to the very back, where he's just trying to hold on now, isn't he, Jacopo, and gets the finish.
Yeah, probably he's going to cut out the Cipressa and the Poggio for him. Is not going to be... I mean, that would make a lot of sense, you know, stick to the old Milan-Sanremo, the old-fashioned Milan-Sanremo.
The pre-1960 version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Peloton is definitely in a much more stressful situation, as we said. You see is wide open at the front. Everybody want to rest assured that they keep their own position, because pretty soon they're going to turn left after this this village where we are now. They're going to be on a much bigger road than before, turning left, entering Albenga, and from there on the road really never opens up again, and it's going to be very important for them to get the best possible position at this point.
It's a battle of bike versus boat along the Ligurian coast there. If you're just joining us, there were 9 riders in the original breakaway who at this stage in the race, even now, even though the time gap is coming down quite fast, would never have believed they'd have over 5 minutes, I don't think, this close to the Tre Capi. That's as a result of the fact that Sylvain Dillier was left all on his own for a long, long time, and it's only just in the last few kilometres that UAE Team Emirates have actually sent Domen Novak forward. And as soon as they did that, Sylvain Dillier dropped away. So Novak has made a bit of a difference with his fresh legs, and we've lost one rider from the front of the race as well. David Lozano, around about 10 kilometres further back down the roads, found it was all a bit too much. And fair enough as well, they've been out off the front of the race for quite significantly over 200 kilometres at this point. So, Hannah, you having stepped away to do the women's race, having watched some of the early exchanges as we left Pavia, we are no clearer yet towards answering our question of what's going to happen in this bike race. Got no idea who's going to win it.
What a beautiful situation to find ourselves in. That it's still up in the air as to who's going to take the victory on the Via Roma. Of course, when I stepped out to go to the women's race, the gap was at around 2.5 minutes. And so the fact that it has grown to over 5 minutes is a number of riders coming down.
Ineos down there, total wipeout. 2 orange jerseys of Ineos taken out of the equation. I don't think either is Filippo Ganna. There's 3 of their riders down.
Bentana for sure. It looks like
Axel Laurence, yeah, Axel Laurence, and one rider, Zach Kwiatkowski at the back there.
It looks like
he's gone down hard. And that is the peril sometimes of riding en masse, en bloc as a team. If something goes wrong, it goes catastrophically wrong. There's Filippo Ganna, 3rd wheel, but it happens behind him, I think, just in front of him. How Ganna doesn't come down there, I have no idea.
Oh, mamma mia. That's a bad one. And ouch. And I think I haven't spotted the number of the rider who hit the pole there.
There's Kwiatkowski. Kwiatkowski's the first one to go down.
Kwiatkowski, I think he hit the pole with his back or the hip.
Terrible for Ineos Grenadiers, and it looks like Kwiatkowski is badly hurt there as the peloton comes back together again. Minus 3 of the Ineos Grenadiers, Swift, Turner and Kwiatkowski involved in that crash. Ganna,
he survived that
borderline
crash,
miraculous. I don't know how he got out of that, Jacopo.
Yeah. It was.
It happened right in front of him.
Yeah, it's a nasty crash from Kwiatkowski. Let's hope he's going to be fine, and we're going to have some good information from his team. But what a nasty crash! That's it looked like he lose balance. You know, he touched the handlebar probably with the legs of a rider. We saw Florian Vermeersch really pissed out what happened. It looked like probably he had a contact with him, and I didn't see anybody moving. I think it was just unfortunate, and probably he touched his legs and he lost balance with the handlebar.
And it's also the close call for UAE Team Emirates XRG. As you can see, one of the sports directors, Elia Viviani, out of the car with Kwiato there.
Again, watch Filippo Ganna on the wheel of Kwiatkowski here. That's the contact with one of the Pinarello riders who goes down as well. Ganna unclips, gets round and gets back on, but Kwiatkowski's gone down extremely hard there.
Yeah, he was not the hip. He touched the pole with the leg, I think, with the tibia or the femur. But yeah,
and you're quite right in saying Vermeersch was really annoyed.
Yeah,
he
because
saw the way
they were turning, and there was a little bit of fighting for position between Kwiatkowski and the rider from Q36.5. I haven't spotted what the number was, and they went down. So it was.
Well, Tom Pidcock avoided all those problems. One of his teammates did go down. Not quite sure who. Well, there we go. We get confirmation of which rider that was. And it's Camprubi, Marcel Camprubi, Spanish rider from Q36.5. Wow, he's smashed up, isn't he? Yeah. He went down hard as well. He and those 3 riders from Ineos involved in that. And this is a stage at the race that year after year after year. This is when we start to see the crashes.
Yeah.
Playing Jacopo, you know exactly what the approach the Tre Capi involves in terms of stress, and it is almost.
Yeah, this is really like. Involved into the fight to get in the position, are willing to break and to lose that position, and sparks the pressure. I mean, it was just unfortunate. I haven't seen anything bad from the riders involved, but unlikely or very certainly the consequences were very bad, and let's hope everybody's fine and just some bruises. As now the peloton is going to turn left, heading into Albenga, as we said earlier, and here things get a little bit more dangerous as a lot of traffic islands, poles on the side of the road. So let's hope everybody's gonna get through safely. And after that is gonna be the village of Alassio. It's not many kilometers between the 2 towns, and then again they're gonna go to Laigueglia for the first of the Capi.
Heart in mouth time, isn't it? There's one rider there, I think it's Jack Haig, who's with Filippo Ganna. Josh Tarling is still upright, and I caught a little glimpse of Axel Laurence, who'd obviously remounted and got back in the bunch as well. So Ineos with at least 4 riders still in the race, but in what condition, I don't know. Haig, though, I think that's Haig, is with Filippo Ganna up towards the front.
I think it's Conor Swifter a little bit at the back behind the UAE team, if I'm not mistaken.
So he's
it's Haig. It's still Haig.
Decathlon moving up closer to the front. UAE Team Emirates really putting themselves visibly present at the front of the race now. Alpecin de Koning, Alpecin Premier Tech, largely invisible at this point. The Emidio Viveri Bridge is another little waypoint, isn't it? It's a little landmark that we always see that marks the imminence, the approach to the Tre Capi, this lovely arched bridge over the tributary, the river that flows out into the Ligurian Sea. Coming down, easy to feel like those 8 riders still at the front. Almost going to make it with something of an advantage. Remember, they start 3 kilometers to go.
Yeah, and another gap is 4:48, just went down just by the natural increase of the speed from the peloton, as everybody wants to stay in the front. But it's good to know that UAE Team Emirates are already using Florian Vermeersch at the front at this point, and this can change also the dynamic of the team later on, because of course, as you see now, 4 of them, Vermeersch, Brandon McNulty, then there was Groschartner, and today we haven't spotted Del Toro yet, as Andrea Peron as well from the breakaway. Sorry.
The 2 Novo Nordisk riders have dropped away now. That leaves 7 at the front of the race. 2 representatives from Movistar, 2 Bardiani, 2 Polti visit Malta, and the lone Frenchman, the 21-year-old, riding in the colours of Alexis Forepost, shaking his legs out. Can't imagine how hard this must have been to get this deep into the race, and still with this 4+ minute advantage. The honour of being the last man standing is probably almost certainly all that these remaining 7 riders can realistically expect today, because when they get on the Cipressa, even if they've got a minute or 2 in the bank, they are going to see that time gap come tumbling down, because as sure as chips are chips and eggs, UAE surely have to light it up on the Cipressa just like they did last year. It's been a long day in commentary. I don't even know what that phrase means.
But you were right on cue, because this is where the hens came off the ship and came ashore, and where hens and chickens came to Italy. So it's right on cue.
That's why I said it. It was all very well thought through, Hannah. Thank you for justifying my choice.
I had no doubt.
Well, dear television viewer, if you could have seen the puzzled expressions from my two co-commentators as I came out with that phrase just now. What's he talking about?
I mean, if it was my face, you know, obviously because I'm Italian, maybe it was some phrase in England they used, but I saw Anna, she was having the same one. So. I was glad to see Ben Turner trying to rejoin the peloton, so no severe consequences.
Looks okay, doesn't he? He's just a little cut on the elbow, but other than that, seems to have got away with it. It's Michał Kwiatkowski, of whom we're awaiting news, to look badly hurt. Turner's just communicating, letting everyone know what's happened to him.
It's going to be a very important rider for Filippo Ganna, especially heading into the Cipressa, because he's a classic man, so he knows what it takes to place yourself and the team before an important moment.
If he can get there, though, Jacopo.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
It's not going to be easy, is it, for him? Really isn't.
There are some moments, especially on the climbs, especially on the first couple, where actually you should feel good, like you can regain your position. You know, this is the moment, like. It's in a way a pity, because on the television doesn't really tell you how much stress is within the peloton, because it seems like everybody's just holding their position at the front, while actually the reality is like a massive stress within it, because everybody wants to gain that position that can make, or they think they can make a huge difference, and so everybody's just fighting to hold on and to go up the front. You see a lot of squeeze at the back now. There was a lot of braking, so it's we always said now the race is on. 4.3 kilometers for Capomele.
And the thing is, all 25 teams are being relayed the same information, that you need to be up towards the front at this point. You need to be aware of this key moment in the race, and then of course all of the road furniture later on, and in particular once they get into Imperia after the Tre Capi, it's really stressful as well.
Yeah, and as it's often like this, I mean, all the teams knows what to do and when to do it, but you pointed out correctly, 25 teams want to do exactly the same. So it's about the legs, it's about the right timing, and definitely I think everybody is willing to be up there, but it's not going to be for everybody, and just few riders can benefit from a little bit extra respect, such Tadej and Mathieu. Everybody knows they are the leaders, they're the main favorites, and you can expect other riders to respect them a little bit more, but won't make their life much easier.
It's confirmation of the wind direction and the strength in your screens. It's coming from the southwest, and predominantly as they head towards the finish in Sanremo, that means it's in their faces, and it's briskish as well, 20 kilometers an hour. You can see actually how the wind has got up. Those sailing boats in the bay there give you a real sense of how brisk that wind is, and the flag as well. So that's going to make, particularly I think, the road between the Cipressa and the Poggio complicated for any group that has split off at the front. This historic Ligurian coast, yeah, the wind is really quite strong there, isn't it, on that exposed bit of headland there.
And also the peloton is about to approach Alassio. They're gonna descend now, as we just witnessed the breakaway doing the same. There are some speed bumps in the city of Alassio. Lies ahead of them. And once off the Alassio, they're going to be pretty much a straight line heading to Lake William.
Ben Turner hasn't been able yet to make any progress up to the front of the peloton. Little trick of moved a little bit closer to the front, though, with those yellow glasses. Only his second day of racing in 2026. Don't forget, he's come back early from a fractured wrist and a fractured collarbone that he sustained in Spain. Soudal Quickstep on the front now. They're riding for Jasper Stuyven and possibly Paul Magnier as well, who's making his debut here, the young French sprinter.
Yeah, don't know about today, because it's a race you need a little bit of experience in order to get it right, but it's definitely a sure contender for Milan-Sanremo in the near future. Paul Magnier is a very, very talented sprinter. He's more than a sprinter, actually. He can climb as well.
He certainly can, yeah.
So
he's quite big as well, isn't he? It's surprising how well he climbs.
Yeah, definitely. And also, he's a mountain biker as well. He's raced the Mountain Bike World Cups. He's a great bike handler, cyclocross in the winter as well. And so for Paul Magnier, his trajectory within Soudal Quickstep has been pretty magnificent, really, because when he'd moved from Trinity Racing to Soudal, originally there was talks that he would go to the development team and spend a year there before going to the World Tour team, but already in his first year, after deciding to turn pro immediately, he was already able to win. So it's pretty impressive.
Yep.
He's got big ambitions as well.
France, say it quietly, is starting to produce some really good riders across all disciplines as well. None more exciting, of course, than the young Paul Sexas. But Paul Magnier, who we're quite familiar with over the last few years, is a star in the making. And who says you can't win Milan-Sanremo on debut? Mark Cavendish did, as you told me. But it's rare.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare.
It is rare, but it's
not impossible.
It's not impossible. There's no rules.
You were talking about Ben Turner. He had a great Valencia, but then after Valencia, he got sick. He missed Algarve, and he only got the call up a few days ago to come here as a replacement at the Ineos Grenadiers.
Now we're approaching the first of the Tre Capi, or at least they are 4 minutes up the road. Don't forget, we're looking at the peloton now, so they're a little bit further back down the road. But still, the stress levels are high. UAE Team Emirates have got their remaining team. They've already burnt through Domen Novak. It's Florian Vermeersch who's taking control. Then they have the climbing talent of Brandon McNulty and Felix Grossschartner, plus Isaac Del Toro, and then Tadej Pogacar. They've lost Jan Christen. In the grand scheme of things, that's probably a detail worth remembering, because a rider like him could have made a big difference. Don't forget what Tim Wellens and Jonathan Innes did in a similar Tadej Pogacar last year. It's unhelpful, to say the very least, that Jan Christen crashed out as early as he did today.
They've probably had to be really conservative with the way that they've ridden as well today, and how early they came to the front, because you've lost one of them.
How late.
And, oh, sorry, yeah,
how
sorry.
late they did.
How late they've come to the front, because they've lost Jan Christen. In a way, it could potentially work into their favour, because they'll have more guys later on, whereas everybody else is thinking, well, the gap is at 6.5 minutes, 7 minutes, panic stations.
Here we are. First of the Capi, Capomile, 1.8 kilometer, 3.6%. The hardest part is the beginning, as you see now. Later on, it flattens out a little bit. They have a tunnel on the top. Nothing too hard, but definitely hard for those guys being on the road for 240 kilometers. It just sounds crazy just by saying that. 240 kilometers in a breakaway. And
it's a slightly different script this year as they leave the famous town of La Guelia behind them and onto the Capomele. It's a slightly different script, because normally the breakaway's only got 1:30 or something at this point, and so we start to see the last-ditch attacks even on the first of the Tre Capi. Here they've got 4 minutes to kind of work with and protect, so we might not see the same sort of desperado attacks quite as early in this edition of the race.
They might stay all together until the bottom of the Cipresse, you know. It would be better for them. They can
to work together.
Yeah, they can
keep as much of that 4 minutes as they can.
Exactly. So I think, like we mentioned, Milesi could have been like the strongest among them, and it looks like this. You know, it's a fine rider, former world champion on the U23 time trial, and this gives you an indication. Like, look at this image, and in 4 minutes. Just look back at the peloton, how fast they're going to climb this gentle hill for them.
Watch out for Marcellusi as well. He's such an aggressive, pugnacious rider. He's got real grit and determination, and durability as well. Reminds me very much of a Bardiani rider from a couple of years ago, Davide Gaboro, who was very good in this kind of situation as well. But they are holding themselves together. These riders from Novo Nordisk. Marcellusi right at the back there, rider 25. He's also, Hannah, one of those riders who is very wily, isn't he? He'll do the bare minimum, especially at this point in a breakaway where we're reaching this terminal point of a breakaway. He's going to want to last standing. At this point, he's going to start to play a few games.
He will, and he's one of those riders that can play the game very well, say, I've not got the legs, or I'm really suffering here, and he misses a turn. And even if he misses a turn every 3 or 4 rounds, it's just enough to save. And for him, you know, he can pull the faces, he can a few little grimaces. But between himself, Manuele Tarozzi, as well as Dario Barletta and Mirko Maestri, they're breakaway specialists.
Yep.
And they know exactly how to finesse the breakaway, how to ride the breakaway, to get it into that point in the race where they hold it at an uncomfortable gap. And they're in a strong position. They've got a teammate to be there with, and so they can play the cards right.
Pogacar's team, I'm pretty sure this wasn't in the plan, Jacopo. They're already starting to use Felix Grossschartner.
Yeah.
He's relaying with Florian Vermeersch at a point where, before the race, we would have expected Domen Novak and Florian Vermeersch to be working together, not Grossschartner.
It's possible that they might be using Brendan McNulty as the similar type of Grossschartner. I would see Grossschartner more of a climber than McNulty myself, but probably depending also how they're feeling, they might be thinking it's worth using Grossschartner right now and waiting for Brendan McNulty for hitting the Capi or possibly the Cipressa. But I mean, it seems like they're getting short in numbers, no, to approach the climbs and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end, it's up to today and probably Isaac Del Toro, you know, and they know. And probably Isaac Del Toro, you know, and they know even if they go as fast as they can, probably the biggest impact is Cipressa itself. But nonetheless, it's a different scenario than probably they were expecting, as Novak is trying to come back, as Verstringen leading out Mathieu on the right of the screen, left side of the peloton, with, I think it was Philipsen right behind Mathieu van der Poel.
Still making their way up the Capelmele. Peloton on the same climb now. Let's call it a climb. It'll certainly feel like a climb after 250 kilometers of racing.
And that's the beauty of it. Like, I mean, if you start your recon, I would say from here's the hero of the day.
He definitely is feeling it as a climb, isn't he, Sylvain Dillier?
It deserves an applause. But if you start the racing from Lake Whelia to the Sanremo, it's just a stroll in the park, you know. But like this, with all that's been done before, with 247 kilometers on your legs, this hurts, and it hurts a lot.
So the white jerseys now in the expected place, but using the unexpected riders. A little bit diminished their resources by the crash of Jan Christen, and also the early contribution, well, the late contribution, I should say, of Domen Novak. But it was a much shorter, but much harder effort than he might have otherwise done. And to be honest, he didn't stay on the front for very long, did he, Jacopo, in the Grand
No,
Prix?
he was there just for, I would say, 15 kilometers. I mean, that's what we were saying. What's the point of like saving a rider if you want to? Anyway, you have to use him. You just burn him, and maybe with a different approach would have been stayed there longer. We spotted him a little bit behind, so probably his job is not done yet. And we're gonna see if he's gonna be able to rejoin the head of the peloton and trying to give a break to the teammates and you know, spend some more kilometers in the front, trying to save energy of the teammates. But so far, he was not going the way they planned it. But again, I think they have not a secret weapon. They have Del Toro, which can be, yeah. I mean, he can play. He can change the direction of this race by a lot. It's not just a mere domestic. He can win himself. So what we were saying the whole day, this man, Del Toro, combined with Pogacar, can make a couple incredible, strong and potentially two winners, you know?
He's just the unknown factor, isn't he? We know what Pogacar can do and probably will do. We know how Van der Poel is going to race. We don't know how Isaac Del Toro is going to race. That's the interesting point. As the breakaway now get on to the second of the Cup chair. It's 2 kilometers in length, but it's not as steep as the one they've just been over, the Capelmele. Capelmele still is probably the hardest of them. This one's not so bad, though. Average slope, 2.5%. A little bit of a steeper slope within it, but 6%, but it's not so bad.
Yeah, this is one of the three, as I said, and you clearly see by the speed they're approaching, and the guys from the breakaway, those are the riders who've been at the front for the whole day. So in San Bartolomé al Mare before approaching the hardest one, the Capoberta, which presents some steep passage. You know, it's not that easy. I mean, if you feel good, that's the first exam of the day. If you're not in a good day, you're gonna feel your legs screaming already, and the race technically hasn't started yet, despite the 250 kilometer in the legs.
Well, if it wasn't for the small detail of the Cipressa and the Poggio, you might well say that the breakaway has got a chance, but realistically, they haven't had a chance all day.
Ineos Grenadiers moving back up now with strength in numbers after that crash, so Connor Swift is back, as is Ben Turner. That's good news for Filippo Ganna as they get into this point in the course as well.
That's hugely impressive from both those riders you just mentioned, isn't it? Down hard in that high-speed crash from Michał Kwiatkowski. To get back to the front is no mean feat with the peloton moving at that speed.
Yeah, it's good for them regrouping on the front. And also imagine when you're the leader and you know your team is there to support you, and despite the lack of crash, they just fall back and they're there to support you. You don't feel like left alone. Look at this, is a huge display in numbers despite what happened earlier. It's basically just Kwiatkowski with probably some much more serious consequences from the crash. They're all there supporting Filippo Ganna in the chase of this victory.
I don't know about you, but I'm really impressed with the way that Jack Haig has slotted into that team. He's wildly experienced, but having that change in teams from Bahrain Victorious to the Ineos Grenadiers and having a bit of a different role is really nice to see that he's slotted well into the squad in a new environment in his 30s now.
We were talking earlier about him, Hannah. He's such a, I mean, you'll have spoken to Jack many times, I'm sure, in your reporting role on various different bike races. He's so articulate, isn't he?
Yeah.
He reads a race really well. He's tactically very astute, and I'm sure that that's one of the reasons why they've signed him. Just to, you know, there's some young talent in this Ineos team as well as huge amounts of experience, but riders full of potential like Axel Laurence, sometimes they need a bit of guiding through situations.
I think that's the key word. They just need that guidance by a rider like Jack Haig, who they've all got great respect for. And for him, he's had some real bad luck during his career with crashes, and when he's crashed, it's often resulted in a broken wrist, a fractured collarbone, and other things that has taken him out of Grand Tours. But he can bring so much to the team.
I think that's not the problem, but like it's a trend in the teams overall. Like they invest obviously because the talents of the young generation now, it's obvious, you know, you cannot deny that. But by having also the experience, you know, of a leader, like not just on the road, like a team leader that brings everybody together, you know, it's undeniable. Then sometimes doing an investment for a rider which might not be like the new coming or the new star, or it won't become a star, but can switch the team and switch how the team race and react and operate. So it's undeniable. Sometimes experience pays off a lot in terms of what you get from results.
And being able to make split-second decisions as well, and not having to wait for a call from the car, being able to read the race yourself already. And
the car itself, like they have television in the cars, but they, I think, like 1 minute later or even more than that, because by rules, because you know, sometimes there is this big discussion about the radio, they influence the race, but in the car they don't know what's going on. You know, they see, but no.
It's so true, isn't it? Yeah. For anyone who's ever been in a team car, you know exactly how blind they're flying most of the time.
Yeah, because they have the radio, they got communication. If there is something happens, like they need to intervene for a crash or something, the radio, race radio will inform them. But the images they've seen on the TV, they are
delayed.
Delayed by, I think there is a law from UCI, I think that's the reason.
I think it's also from the satellite, though. It has to be beamed up to the sky, beamed back down.
So like technically they cannot say to the right, go left, go right, like they just
it's not PlayStation.
It's not PlayStation. But sometimes in the discussion of the radio should be used or not, they say like, it's like they're guiding the riders. No, it's not possible. It cannot happen. And that's why having a team leader, a road captain is vital in certain teams, because he can really drive and take decision in the moment that you need to take that one. And sometimes he's not the strongest rider. It's just where's the tactic brain to build all the teams.
But also, it's only real he'll do what he can in terms of
First one side. They can make a lot of difference because imagine there is a team willing to slow things down or a team was willing to speed things up. So the approach of Cipressa is as vital as the climb itself because it can change the shape of how the climb is going to be approached.
See the flags at the side of the road there telling you that that is a pure headwind being funneled down this avenue over the roundabouts, and they are battling into really quite a stiff headwind breeze, and that'll be noted by all the riders back in the peloton as well, who'll be finessing their tactics, thinking about how to approach those 10 kilometers in between the Cipressa and the Poggio that could be race defining. It's not so easy. It's not such an easy prospect with a headwind.
No, and that's why also we've seen the gap going down so much. I mean, speculating those that would have made in the Cipressa are now doubting what we said because 2 minutes 30 and with the Caberta, the others of the three, and the approach of the Cipressa, I won't be surprised if they're being caught before that.
Let's see. They've still got the strength in numbers, these 7 riders. They've held themselves together at least to this point. But the time gap is continuing to tumble. There we go. This is the story, really, of the maximum advantage that they got of 6:41. That was when Dillier was being fried all on his own at the front of the peloton while UAE were bluffing. But it's come down principally due to the work, but not exclusively, but principally due to the work that's been done by UAE Team Emirates since then. The Russian Orthodox Church that Jacopo was telling us about, but only one of a number of lovely buildings in the heart of old Sanremo. In the meantime, though, 42 kilometres remain and just a couple of K to go until we get to the foot of the final one of the Tre Capi. Now, are we going to see the expected attacks from some of these riders? Is Milesi going to go? Probably the strongest of the 2 Italian riders in the colour of Movistar. Rider 105. Is Marcellucci, rider 25, going to launch? I would expect at some point he's going to try. And what is Mirko Maestri, the more experienced of the 2 riders in the yellow jersey, got in the colours of Polti Visit Malta? And what can we expect from the relatively unknown Frenchman, the young 21-year-old in the colours of Picnic Postenel? We've barely discussed, but he is still very much a part of that breakaway. Forêt Post.
Yeah, it's, imagine the next climb is not the one you can sit comfortably on the wheel, so it's either you have the legs to hold on the pace or you're going to be dropped. As we're back on the peloton, as you see, like all the team displayed from left to right, you know, everybody's trying to stay close to each other with the teammates because they all know the Capoberta approach is after the around the corner, and descent is a bit tricky as well, not difficult, but it can be important for them to be in a good position because after that it's going to be Imperia and everybody wants to be in a best possible position. They are the breakaway is about to start the climb. After the gentle right corner there is a little bridge and then the rear climb starts.
Marcellucci's got himself into the best position in that breakaway group, right at the back. Keep your eye on him as we get to the slightly steeper sections a little bit closer to the top. 1.8 kilometers to go, the Capoberta.
And as we said, the max slope is 9%, so it's quite demanding climb. Famous for the smoke flares of the Bonifacio fan club. Let's see if today is going to be another time the case. They're going to use it.
So Alpecin-Deceuninck re-establishing, Premier-Tech re-establishing a presence right at the front. The Plankett riding alongside Florian Vermeersch, 2 Belgians, setting things up for their 2 big favourites, Tadej Pogacar and Mathieu van der Poel, riding side by side with their trains respectively, dominating the left-hand side of the road, the right-hand side of the picture. But Tudor are up there, Decathlon are up there. We've seen Groupama from time to time with a big presence up at the front. Ineos Grenadiers holding the other side of the road, which is hugely impressive given the fact that half their team wiped out a little bit further down the road.
There they are. As we said, like this, and it's not allowed on the road, so they decided they go on a private land so nobody can bother them.
Still drifting all over the peloton though, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's not nice when you're a rider to breathe all this, but...
Oh.
So we've got a bit of a selection being forced, and the Bardiani riders, well, all the riders pretty much I mentioned, are being, well, Marcellucci, not his day. He's had better days on Milan-Sanremo, but he's paying the price of the long, long kilometres.
Maglio Moro also getting distance.
Moro's dropped. Milesi's still there, his teammate.
I think it was Belletta along with Maestri.
Tarozzi's gone as well. Only 3 riders left at the front. Mirko Maestri being one of them. Balletta, the other rider from Visit Malta. And the Frenchman, Faurie Prost. Plus Lorenzo Milesi.
Milesi came out of Paris in good shape, didn't suffer any illness or anything. A lot of riders were getting sick during Paris, but he's also had a real strong start to his 2026 season. And I think, Jacopo, you were alluding to it earlier on, once the breakaway was formed, year upon year, he's just been getting better and better. And he's been learning so much from the other riders within the team, but he's still so young as well. He's only 23 years of age, 24 years of age. And for Milesi, he's so strong. He's one of those riders who can go all day. I mean, he's an excellent time trialist as well. Luckily, the wind is in the southwesterly direction. It's actually blowing the...
But they're cheering for Ineos Grenadiers, obviously, because that's the colour of Ineos.
Yeah, of course.
And
what about Uno X Mobility with Soren Varenskold or Magnus Cort?
or just a Netherlands fan?
Yeah, I wonder what the thinking is. I don't know why. It's always orange smoke.
It's always orange.
No idea why.
I guess it's, you know, some like a village flag or something like this.
Maybe.
But back in the race, this is the only climb actually where is the only moment in the race at Milan-Sanremo where you actually use the smallest plateau, no, the front gear, the front sprocket. So now Ben Turner, after the very horrific crash, is back at the front, leading Pippo Ganna to the best possible position ahead of the descent of the Capoberta.
But the remaining 4 riders in the breakaway, they are going to get over the top of the Capoberta with a lead of over a minute. 1:23, that's decent. As the peloton now come through the smoke and UAE Team Emirates. Huge responsibility now on Florian Vermeersch's shoulders. He has to deliver Tadej Pogacar in a better, and Domen Novak comes to help out as well. These 2 riders have to ensure that Tadej Pogacar is right where he needs to be when they hit the Cipressa. He wasn't last time out, he needs to be this time.
As the breakaway almost reached the top, as we see now, some of the fans, the well-known Bonifacio fan club. After that corner over there is going to be a little plateau for like 500 meters before plunging down to Imperia, as Faurie Prost is struggling a little bit. If he can stay just a little bit in contact with the riders, he's going to be able to rejoin them once the descent starts.
Nobody in this breakaway is attacked, have they? It's just a question of like riders falling away at the back, just the lights going out.
Imagine the suffering and the legs screaming of those riders. Let's remember they've been in a breakaway for 260 kilometers now.
Proper war of attrition at the front of this fascinatingly poised edition of Milan-Sanremo. The last of the Tre Capi is behind us. Domen Novak resumes his work on the front in the company of Felix Großschartner. First appearance on our cameras of Brandon McNulty, Isaac Del Toro, Tadej Pogacar, and Van der Poel has picked the wheel that he needs to follow now as we head towards the Cipressa. He said it before the race got underway. All I have to do is follow. He makes it sound so simple. He's trying to follow Tadej Pogacar of all bike riders and do what he has managed to do over the last 2 years. But all the signs are now that UAE Team Emirates, asserting themselves on the final of the Tre Capi, are going to motor towards the Cipressa, and all the evidence suggests that Tadej Pogacar, as he kind of has to do, has to try and light it up very early on the Cipressa and hope that he can crack Van der Poel.
It's still Ben Turner for Ineos. We see Jasper, even former winner on the right, Mats Pedersen with Matthias Vasek and Quentin Pacher from Groupama. It's a bit disrupted. Visma Lease bike, it's easily recognizable with the yellow, a little bit not very united together.
It's scattered all over the place, aren't they?
And currently Wout van Aert's isolated. He doesn't have anyone around him. He's sitting sort of top 30 at the moment. Another rider who is up towards the front, Kasper Askren, moving forward for EF Education Easy Post, as well as Maris Mikkels, the Estonian road race champion. They've got a few cards to play today, actually.
They do. Luc Lamperty, Michael Honoré, a few
Michael
different cards.
Valgren.
Yeah. Most of them are Danish. let's be honest. 59 seconds though, 37 kilometres to go, 10 kilometres to go until the Cipressa.
If a Dane does win today, it'll be the first Dane in history to win Sanremo. The best result before is Rolf Sørensen, second place in 93.
Here we go, Jacopo. You were talking very poetically, very convincingly about the moment. The arrow straight road with the tall townhouses on the side, through the colonnade, through the square, you see the little statue in the middle of that square in Imperia. This is, well, it just marks the final phase, doesn't it? This is where it starts.
Here is, this is an amazing image, as always, of the Sanremos. For the first trying to slapping himself on the legs, hoping to find something left in there. But he's about to rejoin the front of the race. Won't be for long, but chapeau to them. I mean, they're going to be probably before the Cipressa or into the Cipressa now, 56 seconds. And, well, it was a good ride by them. What can you say? I mean, brave and chapeau to try to scramble things in a story that everybody knows. So, chapeau.
Volley Post reminds me a little bit of the German Jonas Rutsch, the way he sits on the bike, actually. Similar position, but 35 and a bit kilometres to go. The peloton is coming in fast now, in almost within visual contact, I would suggest, of the breakaway riders. I'm pretty sure the team cars will have been pulled out of the gap now. They're coming in fast, and when the road straightens out now with the time gap at 55 seconds, they'll see them. Felix Großschartner doing the work on the front at the moment.
Yeah, and Damien Novak about to rejoin the head of the peloton. 5 riders, including Pogacar from UAE Team Emirates. To be seen how many energy left, but again, they got a man in the Tour that can really play a different role. So as long as they're concerned, I think the main goal is to enter the Cipressa in the best possible position, stretch things out, and go full gas from the very bottom of the climb.
These colonnades, this fountain, this city, Imperia, very much the final fanfare of Milan-Sanremo, a signal that the race is unavoidable now. It's coming hurtling up the road towards them. The Cipressa not too far away. And the days when the Cipressa was just ridden hard, but controlled, well, they've gone. Tadej Pogacar changed the script last year, and all the expectation is he's going to fire up the Cipressa once more. And what a spectacle it was last year. I think it's going to happen again. Yeah.
All we've seen in this beginning of the season indicates that he's going to blow the peloton in pieces. But let's wait and see. Now is the approach of Imperia. Seems like quite good roads from the breakaway, but imagine having a peloton in full gas on those roads later on. Exiting the city of Imperia, actually, there are a couple of tricky corners, might be very dangerous. Sometimes they were causing quite some problems for the riders at the peloton. So let's hope that everybody stay up and safe. As Damien Novak still leading, as Jekyll made the first appearance at the front. They have Vendrame as a possible top finisher today. They're seated in the smallest of the Australian outfit, seated right behind, I think it's Joshua Suttling, sorry, and Kellan O'Brien.
Yeah, not a team we've mentioned much about, actually, Jaco Alula. We've barely seen them in this race to this point, but showing themselves right on the front now, alongside the decathlon team who are riding for Tobias Lund Andersen. Pinarello, Cube 36.5, has still got Tom Pidcock up towards the front. First appearance in a while of the blue and white of Red Bull Border Hansgrohe as well, with a few different cards to play. Lawrence Pithy being one of them. Who knows? Giulio Pellizzardi playing a role, and what about Primož Roglic?
One other team moving up towards the front was Unibet Rosal Rockets with Thomas Kopecky and a couple of other riders. They're all working for the Slovakian road race champion. And he's been well placed throughout, and I think it's something that he's really learned to do and be patient with and try and save, but still have that good positioning throughout a race, but not be too eager and not be too keen and end up consequently wasting a lot of energy. Kopecky and Hartijs de Vries, their job to bring them into this section of the course here.
There's the town of Imperia in the images.
Originally a hilltop town when they built the Duomo that spread down into the coast beneath. Neoclassical facade, Baroque interior, and a heck of a view out over the sea, which is being blown by this increasingly brisk headwind coming from the southwest. A little bit overcast now. A little bit more sunshine just up the coast. There's a crash, another crash here.
Van Aert is involved in my...
Yeah, Wout van Aert.
Pogacar.
And Pogacar is down. Tadej Pogacar has been caught up in a crash on the left-hand side of the road. He's gone down very hard. He's hit the deck, left side of his skin suit completely scuffed up. He's banging his handlebars. Van Aert also a victim of that attack, of that crash. And Tim Marsman, a teammate of Mathieu van der Poel, is down too.
Let's see the replay of it. I think Pogacar was the first one going down there.
Well, that is the most decisive moment, potentially, of Tadej Pogacar's tilt. Unrecoverable position for him. Also delayed, as well as well.
And Matteo Jorgensen, I think, was involved. We see Affini here. But big bruises on the left side of Tadej Pogacar with this crash. Let's see if he can rejoin the peloton and regain the front of the race. I mean, we've seen him doing crazy things also when in Strade Bianche he crashed and managed himself to win anyway. But well, that's the very wrong moment for him to crash.
These are the riders who've been caught up. Pellizzari, also Affini. So some really big names there. As Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, they're not going to wait for Pellizzari, and the peloton is sized into multiple different parts here because the front end of the peloton is racing on despite. Here's another replay of what happened. Watch out for Pogacar. Has he instigated this moment? There he is, just riding on the coattails of the Unibet team. He does look like he's the first rider to go down.
It looks like he rides into the back wheel of his teammate, to be honest.
Yeah, something
touch of wheels, that's all it is. That's all it takes, a touch of wheels. Søren Kragh Andersen, the Danish road race champion, coming down for Little Trek as well.
Well, abandon everything that you thought you knew about what was about to happen on the Cipressa. This has changed the script entirely. UAE team member having to adapt, having to work out what to do. First things first, they have to get back into the front of the bunch. So they're expending huge amounts of energy. But we don't know where Isaac Del Toro is right now, because don't forget, if they can't get Pogacar back into a situation, he is he's a very good plan B, but he will be fully isolated as the rest of the team have been sent back, possibly including Del Toro, to bring Pogacar back to the main peloton.
Spotted him, he survived the crash, he left, he was on the left side, so he managed to stay up, but let's be seen if he's being called back to help Pogacar rejoin the peloton, as what we saw before was not the main peloton. This is the main peloton, then there is a detached peloton that Pogacar was about to rejoin, and then there is a gap of about 20-30 seconds in between this group and the group of Pogacar.
So Isaac Del Toro, yep, you're quite right, is on his own. He's the only UAE Team Emirates rider there. The rest have been sent back to this group, the second group. They're not far off the back. What sort of situation is Tadej Pogacar in physically? Is that machine of his working well? He was banging the left side of his bars as he got back on. Doesn't look like he's cut, but he's obviously gone down incredibly hard on the left side there.
Yeah, and even if the consequences of this crash are not too serious, he's going to start the Cipressa in a far back position than he wanted to be. And let's wait and see what the team would be able to do, if they're going to be able to rejoin the peloton, because what we see over there at the front is not the main peloton. The main peloton is even further down, and they got, seems like 30-40 seconds ahead of Pogacar.
So Jorgensen needed a bike change. He's out of that Pogacar group, and there is Mathieu van der Poel. What are we looking at here? Is that the second group on the road? No, yeah. There's the main peloton, as you say. So Van der Poel was also delayed and caught up.
But he's a little bit ahead of Pogacar, and he's about to rejoin the peloton.
30 seconds, you're right.
Both of the favorites were being caught in this crash, and this could change the shape of the race.
Nobody expected. Jasper Philipsen is the rider who's doing the work now for Mathieu van der Poel. So the two former winners having to work hard on that second group. Felix Großschartner, his services are being absolutely dispensed with right now. They've lost one rider. I think they had two riders from UAE Team Emirates in the front of that Pogacar group. Don't know who the other one was, but whoever he was, he's no longer there. It's Großschartner, as Wout van Aert with Edoardo Affini is in a group even further back, as you can see, at 1:06 from the front of the race.
It's Affini, Van Aert and Jorgensen had to change the bike second time. As you see, it doesn't have a number, also Van Aert.
Good am I.
So the unpredictable happened, and unfortunately for a crash, we witnessed two of the main favorites being in distance from the main peloton, and let's wait and see at the approach of the Cipressa, because Mathieu van der Poel still has a little bit of time to jump before of the was just a split down, but
it's interesting, isn't it, that Philipsen was the rider working on the front. Where were the rest of the Alpecin-Deceuninck team, who simply there to look after both those riders?
Yeah.
He's back in. So there's Van Aert. He's got back into that main peloton now. And they're at 13 seconds. Don't forget about the riders at the front of the race. They haven't actually been caught yet, but they will be imminently. There's Isaac Del Toro. Van der Poel comes sweeping around Del Toro. Tom Pidcock has avoided all the travails. Don't forget, he's there as well.
This situation puts definitely Pippo Ganna in a very good position. He survived this moment of crash, as we almost there at the beginning of the Cipressa. Still 500 meters of flat roads, as Josh Starling taking the leads, following Clemente Russo of Groupama. Now it's going to be a right turn and then a gentle left into the Cipressa climb.
Here's Pogacar. They've got a bumper to work with. There's no Felix Großschartner. He's done what he can, and he's left his team leader to sit on the wheel of Danny van Poppel of Bora Hansgrohe, who's going to bring them back imminently, I think, to the peloton, but he's going to be way, way, way out of position, Pogacar, by the time they hit the Cipressa, if he even gets there before. But the catch is imminent, and it's going to be Ineos Grenadiers and Josh Tarling who brings the breakaway to heel just before the start, or just as they start the Cipressa climb. Tarling and Ganna now starting to motor on the climb. The big favourites, the expected teams, nowhere near the front. A huge responsibility now to Josh Tarling. Roglic is there, Pidcock is there.
And I spotted Lawrence Pitti as well, Garcia Cortina, so Mats Pedersen also in a good position, so everybody's there, ready to fight. As let's wait and see where is Tadej Pogacar. He is now being brought back by a teammate, I think is Großschartner, if I'm not mistaken.
McNulty. He's got McNulty's wheel now. McNulty's waited for him. Pogacar, borderline miraculously, is back in the bunch, but he is a long way down, and he's got an awful lot to make up. So the planned Cipressa attack, that can't happen now.
Del Toro is there. Mats Pedersen will place. We see Alaphilippe as well, former winner. Pidcock, that's I think is Jos Sutherland, the German for Jaco Alula. Pogacar, sorry, with the adrenaline of the crash, is rejoining the front of the race, while otherwise they're struggling even to hold the pace. But this is going to cost him a lot of energy.
The American bringing him up towards the front. He's getting closer to the front. Still, it's Josh Tarling with Filippo Ganna on his wheel, who's setting the pace as Jaco Alula now pick things up. Matteo Trentin is there in the black of Tudor Pro Cycling, looking very good, and his team leader Julian Alaphilippe alongside Mats Pedersen towards the front as well.
So this is not going to be the year of below 9 minutes in the Cipressas. People going to have the problem with the
gears.
Yeah,
slip a gear there. He's spinning a very low gear, isn't he? Well, I don't think anyone would have said Jaco Alula will pick it up on the Cipressa, but that's the situation we're in now, as Pogacar, still trying to fight for space on the right-hand side of the road, is at the front, and McNulty picks it up, and there's Tadej Pogacar. What's he got left in the locker? Isaac Del Toro looks at his team leader, almost in disbelief, trying to figure out what on earth is going to happen now, because in all their calculations, in all their thinking about how this might play out, they would never in a million years have suspected that he's been through the mill, he's been down, and now he's at the front. Victor Campenaerts comes alongside Tom Pidcock towards the front.
And Tobias Lund Andersen seated on the wheel of Pogacar. We see Mathieu van der Poel rejoining the front. Is just having Filippo Ganna ahead of him, and Ciccone. Del Toro seated right behind Tobias Lund. Alessandro Cobbi from Jaco Alula as well.
There's been between McNulty and Pogacar. Haven't seen him exchange a word, but intuitively, McNulty knew exactly where his team leader wanted to be, Hannah, and that was right at the front.
Exactly, and I think in this kind of situation, Ned, they don't need to have any verbal communication. McNulty knows exactly what his role is. In this kind of situation, he doesn't have time to play with, he doesn't have time to have the discussion with Tadej and ask what he wants. He knows that they need to bring the world champion up to the front, as several riders, you can see Isaac Del Toro just slips into the wheel of Brandon McNulty here. Here's Pippo Ganna, who wants to be on the wheel of Tadej Pogacar. Pidcock looking really good as well. Got all of the big favourites.
And it's going to be interesting to be seen what's the feeling. How is Tadej Pogacar feeling now, because after the crash he might expect him to suffer a little bit, as Del Toro is slotted in front of him. So seems like order restored at the moment. To be seen if it's going to be enough for them to being able to detach from the main peloton, as everybody is in a line, as we see Ciccone and Mats Pedersen from Trek right behind the first 7 riders, and Trentin as well.
He's looking really good, isn't he?
Yeah.
Trentin.
Now, you know, with how the race is unfolding now, because of, we might expect like larger coming at the end. So a sprint is not impossible at this point, because of course, like, we're gonna expect like an attack from Pogacar now, but what's left? I mean, he spent a lot compared to the others in the approach of the Cipressa.
Fantastic bit of riding from the American Brandon McNulty, who goes again, just injects a little bit more pace on the instruction of his team leader. Not too much more to give, though, for Brandon McNulty. And then what's going to happen as Isaac Del Toro picks up, and Del Toro really accelerates with Pogacar on his wheel. This is going to hurt everybody. Del Toro, for the first time, really unleashes on the Cipressa. Pogacar able to follow him, follow the wheel of his teammate, but all the big favourites, Pidcock, Ganna, Van der Poel, Pedersen, Ciccone, Roglic as well, they're all still there on the wheels of Isaac Del Toro.
This was the hardest part of the Cipressa climb, but after this brief moment they're going to turn slightly to the right. It's going to be a bit easier. Spotted Mats Pedersen a little bit in a grimace, like suffering to all the pace, but he's still there. He's not drifting back.
Lawrence Piffy still there for Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe as well, number 136, and here goes the world champion.
This is the moment that Pogacar's going to have to try and make the difference. Pidcock locked onto his wheel. Van der Poel comfortably able to follow. Has swept round Pippo Ganna. Ganna is a little bit on the back foot now as those 3 riders blast Kier. Pogacar, having been down, paced back to the peloton, has unleashed a big attack. He looks round and he sees Pidcock and Van der Poel for company. It's another trio going clear on the Cipressa. This time, though, swap out Ganna for Pidcock.
The hardest part of this climb is about to finish, as they're going to turn right, but Ganna really, he was struggling to hold the pace, and the gap is big. Nobody's pushing, nobody's pulling at the back. As Ciccone seemed like he was able to follow, but then he faded back.
Yeah, it's not the same ride from Filippo Ganna, unfortunately for Ineos, that we saw last year, but he did manage to pace himself, didn't he, Ganna, last year? Just when he thought he was beaten, he had a way, both on the Cipressa and on the Poggio, of coming back. Can he do it again? But those 3 have blasted clear, and they've got clear daylight between them and the rest now.
Yeah, the gap is about 15-20 seconds already, as nobody is willing to help Pogacar. Not that he's looking for some help at the moment, but Pidcock really responsive, and he didn't lose any centimeter from Pogacar, as well as Mathieu Van der Poel, who looks in prime position to deliver a fine performance. Here's the last little kicker before it flattens out, and then after this it's impossible to make any difference in between the riders a la pedal.
How much does Tadej Pogacar want to win this bike race? It's unbelievable, isn't it? How many riders would have just sacked off their chances, given that? Not even fought. He asked his team to put him back at the front, and then he had just the audacity after that heavy crash to attack again and take Van der Poel and Pidcock with him.
Yeah, whatever the outcome of today, I think like chapeau to Tadej Pogacar, because there shows like how much is commitment for this kind of race, because he was on the ground at the approach of the Cipressa, and look at him, he's now leading the whole race.
Now then, what kind of gap are they going to get over the top of the Cipressa? 1.2 kilometers to go, but basically now, Jacopo, the climbing is done, isn't it?
Yeah.
This final kilometer is almost flat.
Yeah, exactly, and the gap is quite consistent, the 18%. Till now, nobody was willing to help. Pidcock is starting working, while Mathieu is sitting on the wheel. He still doesn't want to share any.
Good ride. That makes sense to me. To you?
I think for me it's the best thing for Pidcock to do to contribute, and then work out the scenario of how's he going to win a little bit later on into the Poggio. That's what for me, would be the perfect scenario for Pidcock.
I mean, if the crash of Pogacar has some consequences on him, Tom Pidcock might be the strongest climber among them. So we're not taking this own chance on the Poggio, but for now it seems like everybody started collaborating, and
Van der Poel riding too.
Yeah, the gap is now bigger, 22 seconds. Let's be seen who has some teammates at the back, who has the legs to close this gap. Because
for this group to have any chance, they need to cooperate. As Tadej Pogacar unleashes another attack when nobody expected it on the flat part of the road. He's burning so many matches here, but he's putting Van der Poel under a little bit of pressure. How does he do this, Tadej Pogacar? And is it wise? It doesn't really matter. It's just what...
In the big scheme, in the big picture, this can make a lot of difference, because that's what we were earlier on, that was very... Yes, the killer instinct doesn't waste any energy in the shape of Tadej Pogacar, but we're on top of this now. Hold on, because the descent is quite tricky, and let's wait and see if Pidcock, it feels like, might give it a go in the descent.
The problem is, if he does give it a go on the descent, what's he doing it for? Because there's a lot of headwind road, it's flat, and he's got to get to the Poggio and then do it all again. Surely the sensible thing here is for these three riders to hold on to that precious 20 seconds that they've got and then try and develop it on the Valley Road and hold on. But sensible things and Tadej Pogacar are not really often said in the same sentence. He just take risks, doesn't he? So instinctive and so full of fight.
Sensible things and Tom Pidcock descending also don't get mentioned in the same sentence very often, do they? Thinking back to the stage you won in the Tour de France at the top of Alpe d'Huez. But ultimately, I mean, you're quite right, Jacopo. If I was Pidcock and you were in this situation, wait for the descent on Poggio.
Yeah, that
is ideal.
That's his moment.
That is his moment to try.
As now the first of the switchbacks approached by the riders. It's a big group, it's a large group in the chasing, you know, let's wait and see if somebody has something left in the legs to shut this down. It's not easy, but it's a large group, it's fair to expect some domestics.
Yeah. Lidl Trek have got a lot of riders in this group.
Yeah.
I've counted at least 4, I think. So they are, I think they're the key team when we get down off this descent, if they can make the difference. If not, we'll have to see how much organisation there is amongst the other teams, but I think everyone will look towards Lidl Trek.
Tadej Pogacar is pushing on the descent, distancing a little bit Mathieu van der Poel, as Pidcock is comfortably following him.
Adrenaline just coursing through the veins of the world champion, Tadej Pogacar. He's angry, Pogacar. It's a completely different script than he might have imagined, and yet, despite all of that, that's probably the outcome he would have had in mind. A group of 2 or 3 riders over the top of the Cipressa with a 30-second lead. So, despite everything being thrown out the window, improvised and ripped up, actually, the outcome is similar to what he might have imagined.
Yeah, that's the strength of a champion, you know, like, despite what it's like the destiny was fighting against him, he fought back and he rejoined the front and even attacking, and he's not taking any excuse, you know, like, despite the crash, he was the rider who initiated this seems like decisive attack of today, and
he's doing all the riding on the descent as well, isn't he? All of it. And he's growing the lead. I mean, that has gone from 19 seconds to 36 seconds on half of the Cipressa descent.
Yeah, this we're going to see in a couple of kilometers, because sometimes with the GPS signal, they might mixing up a bit when there are some switchbacks.
Yep.
As the trio is about to rejoin the Via Aurelia.
You're looking at images of a new feature in the seafront at Milano-Sanremo. These wonderful plaques there with the hand imprint of the last 2 winners, Lorena Vives and Mathieu van der Poel of Milan-Sanremo, immortalised. And again, just another feature to admire. But this bike race is still spectacularly open. Any one of these 3 riders could win, and the win could come quite plausibly from behind them as well, because they're going to be hunted down on this coastal road into a headwind by a big chase group. And if they get organised, it's far from a foregone conclusion that this group will go to the line. And it is indeed Lidl Trek.
Yeah, as you correctly pointed out, they have numbers here. Mats Pedersen himself is pushing out them. Let's not forget Bahrain. They have Zambanini now riding hard. Matej Mohoric. Let's look at back also. I saw Schmidt and Vendrame and Kovi from J. Kalula. We expect like Isaac Del Toro trying to disrupt the momentum of the rider behind. Campenarts, Romain Grégoire at the same time.
Christophe Laporte is there as well.
So too is Romain Grégoire, but there's, like you noticed, Mads Pedersen was riding, Grégoire's riding, a lot of leaders on their own, all putting their nose in the wind and burning a few matches as, well, that's definitely a grimace from Mathieu van der Poel.
Yeah, not something like you usually see it. So far, if you just read the faces and the reaction of the riders, you will say, you will argue that Tom Pidcock is the rider who feeling the best at the moment, because Mathieu was with an uncommon grimace on his face, you know, not something like you often see. And but we know he can, in Italian, we say like he can throw his heart over the fence, you know, like he can do more than his body will suggest you.
That's a great expression.
Yeah, that's Italian. Gettare il cuore oltre l'ostacolo.
Every day I learn from you, Jacopo. Radish corners and throwing your heart over a fence.
And we've learned a new one from you today as well.
Yeah, that's true. What a bike race. 32 seconds then for these three riders. Their advantage over the slightly disorganised chase group last time we saw. There wasn't any real cohesion in the way Lidl Trek in particular were riding. But they do have by far the numerical advantage behind. It looked, didn't it, as if that big chase group had got split into bits as well on the descent.
Yeah, it's to be seen, because the image we got was just at the beginning of the flat part after descent, so not everybody was yet rejoining the front of the chasing group. But if they can organize, they have to do it now, because in about 8 kilometers is going to be time for the Poggio. As Mathieu van der Poel collaborating here, what you were saying, like the group is quite large. This is a second group, I think, with Jorgensen, Van Aert,
yeah,
rejoining the first one. This can be a big difference, because 3 riders from Visma-Leasebike plus Campenart and Laporte at the front, that makes 5.
Alaphilippe is in this group, well, let's call it the peloton, that are chasing the elite riders in front of them. The Movistar rider is Ivan Garcia Cortina as well. He's there, he's got a fast finish. 15 kilometers of this extraordinary edition, genuinely historic edition of Milan-Sanremo. Another one that will be talked, regardless of who wins this bike race, this Milan-Sanremo will be talked about for years to come. Tadej Pogacar, the world champion, on the deck, kilometers before the start of the Cipressa climb, being moved all the way back into the peloton. He was 35 seconds down at one point, got into the bunch, moved to the front, attacked them all, and took Van Aert and Pidcock over the top of the Cipressa. I mean, even that alone, regardless of what goes on now for the rest of the race, even that is the stuff of legend.
Yeah. But this shows like why is the world champion, why is the best rider of this era, because what drives him is not just racing. He just want to beat everybody, all races he's taking part of.
So here comes the yellow train, Visma-Leasebike. Are they going to change the story now? But they're running out of kilometers. They've only got about 4 kilometers to bring those 3 riders back to heel. And when we get to the Poggio, I know it's not much of a climb, but it is a climb. Van Aert and especially Pidcock and Pogacar are back on favoured territory, and they can start making a big difference there.
Yeah,
That's it.
The number of Little Trek, they have 5 riders with Vasek, Bajoli there, Ciccone, Mads Pedersen last wheel, followed by Ganna. So those are the riders who can make the difference. If Visma-Leasebike, they're going to move straight up to the front and help them, we can see a different outcome of this race.
The sheer resilience of this man, the strength of his character, frankly. Never knows when he's beaten. And what about Van Aert? Not Van Aert, Van der Poel, I should say. We have seen, I don't know whether it's just an illusion, but Hannah, just on the odd occasion, just a little gap has opened up, hasn't it, since he's joined these 2 or 3, and that little grimace there. I wonder how Van der Poel is feeling. Don't forget, with Philipsen, he had a chase to get on as well, didn't he?
He did. For Apple. Almost took the words out of my mouth when we saw that image of how Van der Poel was looking physically. I mean, it's not often that you see a grimace. It's not often you see his poker face change.
Yep.
And normally he's quite unreadable sometimes,
yep.
actually. And this is the first time where you've really started to see that he's had to work really, really hard over the Cipressa. Also, I noticed, and rightfully, in my opinion, leaving a bit of a gap to Pogacar and Pidcock, not getting involved, not overcooking things on the descent down the Cipressa, and just easing back a little bit. And, you know, maybe he's not feeling 100%, but he did have Philipsen, who was bringing him back when he got caught out earlier on. But for me, Pidcock looks sublime.
Yeah,
he looks so calm and composed.
Matthias Vacek is doing damage to that 36-second gap now. Brought it back down as Lidl Trek get themselves seriously organised to just 27 seconds, 26. But look, the Poggio begins in 3 kilometres, and even if they keep taking time at that rate, those 3 are still going to have a lead when they get to the Poggio.
Yeah, it's very hard believing that they can shut down 25 now seconds in only 3 kilometers. It's true that it's not completely flat. You have a couple of little drag like this one out of the city into the tunnel on the left. So there is a moment where you can do something, but it's too close possibly to the Poggio, because we got 3 amazing riders up front, and if they collaborate, it's going to be very hard for them to be caught.
And they are, and there's a great deal of mutual respect among these 3, isn't it? They know each other so well, of course. Let's not forget Van der Poel and Pidcock. They go back absolutely years as well to the muddy fields of Belgium and the cyclocross. I mean, these 3 have just, in their very, very different ways, been part of the same story. They're part of the same generation, and they are part of the same move now that still has 23 seconds, and that's all that Vacek could do. He's gone.
Yeah.
See, ahead of Del Toro then. Even he's suffering. He was completely swinging his head left to right, the shoulders going. So, you know, there's some other key contenders, if this doesn't go to right for Pogacar, who are really feeling how difficult this race has been so far.
One of the reasons, Jacopo, why these 3 are working together is each one of them will believe they can win this race.
Yeah, of course.
They can all see a way of winning, can't they?
And also, like, they know if they get caught by the peloton behind,
that's
probably that's it. And they don't want that to happen. And all of that have different interests and probably a different scheme in their mind, you know, how to win this race, how to put it off. But it's true that now the gap is reducing, but if they don't get them before the start of the climb, which seems like unrealistic at the moment, nobody at the back is going to be able to close this down in the climb.
Think back to 2 years ago, Ned, when Tom Pidcock was still with the Ineos Grenadiers, and he went down the descent on the Poggio with an advantage.
Yep.
And he was only caught in the closing few hundred meters.
Yep.
But he's, in my opinion, 2 years stronger. He's now got so much more confidence than when he was with the Ineos Grenadiers in terms of what he's capable of, and he feels fully backed by the team. And no doubt that could be the upset in this group, because perhaps Pogacar will look at Van der Poel and say, well, you're faster than me, so you do the riding. Van der Poel doesn't look particularly great, and so it's forced to Pogacar, and so you have this issue. But of course there's one issue, and that's the Poggio first.
There's multiple issues. One of them's called Tadej Pogacar. I mean, the way he attacked on the final kilometre of the Cipressa climb there was borderline insane, wasn't it? And a flat piece of road. It suggests to me that when he gets to the Poggio, he might just try and unleash and opening that first hairpin when they get off the main road and it swings round to the right. It's quite steep. I wouldn't put it past him just to try and go there.
Yeah, it's not the same climb, although he knows that, and the Poggio, you know, with all those hairpins can disrupt your effort, and it's not making life easier for Tadej, which all the 3 are very talented or handling the bike, but probably is the worst among them. I mean, still a great bike handler, but the worst among them. As the peloton is getting closer and closer, but it's not going to be enough for them to catch the trio before the climb. It's a quite large group at the moment, 16 seconds, but we're only 400 meters before the start of the Poggio.
They only need to take these 15 seconds, 10 seconds of an advantage, and it's going to be very hard to make a case that they'll be seen again, these 3. And look how many different teams and different riders these 3 have burnt up in the chase as well.
Yeah.
Team after team. It's now Lotto Intermarché who've got 2 riders on the front. Lidl Trek just vanished.
Mathieu Van der Poel is going to be the rider entering the Poggio in first position. Probably would have been better at the wheel of today, checking his moves, but I sense the best position now is for Tom Pidcock at the moment.
Here we go then, the Poggio, the final obstacle separating these three great champions from victory on the Via Roma. How is it going to play out as Pogacar sweeps to the front? Hasn't looked like he's going to attack yet, but you just never know when it's going to come from Tadej Pogacar. His skin suit, his white skin suit with those rainbow bands in pieces, scuffed up all over his left-hand side, having gone down very, very hard before the Cipressa. Recovering, attacking, going again, looking for an opportunity up the road, trying to gauge when he can go. Can he get rid of Mathieu van der Poel and Tom Pidcock? That's the question. But behind, they are coming in fast. They are coming in fast, and Pogacar sees them there, and he goes, and Van der Poel, no immediate reaction as he coaxes Tom Pidcock onto the wheel in front. A little gap opens up. Pidcock is able to hold the wheel of Tadej Pogacar, and that is not a bluff from Van der Poel. He's riding his own race now and hoping that he can pace himself back, like Filippo Ganna did on the Cipressa, to the front of the race, but the signs are not good there for Van der Poel.
No, it seems like the pace is too high, so the pace we were seeing from Van der Poel was not a bluff. He's really struggling to hold the pace. He hasn't cracked yet, but he's being distanced at the moment. Only Pidcock look like to follow Tadej Pogacar at the moment.
Don't rule out the peloton. They're only at 9 seconds, but they're only at 9 seconds to Tadej Pogacar, who's doing all the riding with a brilliant Tom Pidcock on his wheel. Pidcock won't share the work yet, as they try and emphatically and for good dispense with the threat, the significant threat of the two-time winner Mathieu van der Poel. But that, in the long history of rivalry between Tadej Pogacar and Van der Poel, is the first time that Tadej Pogacar has got rid of his bête noire, has got rid of the man he fears most. That's genuinely important. That is a big, big moment on the Poggio, early on as Pogacar strikes. Now what does he do about his black shadow that's on his wheel, the tiny figure of Tom Pidcock? He gets rid, potentially, of one adversary, only to find there's another one to try and dispense with.
Yeah, Tom Pidcock is very dangerous for Tadej Pogacar, because if he's not going to be able to drop him on the climb of the Poggio, then he's in serious danger for the descent. We all know the ability of Tom Pidcock in the descent, and let's not forget the peloton, because if the duo start looking at each other, these groups might as well come back at the front.
It's all Visma Lease Bike and Lidl Trek. A little contribution from Tudor Pro Cycling. Filippo Ganna, not the same form as last year when he was, of course, in the mix up the road as Pogacar tries to unleash again, tries to get rid of Tom Pidcock, and he's running out of opportunities to do so. Tiny gap opens up, does it? No, Pidcock is absolutely rock solid. Barely a foot separates the rear wheel of Tadej Pogacar from Tom Pidcock. What a resilient ride. He's in the form of his life, this young British rider. Yeah,
he's not going to be able to drop Pidcock from the wheel. You know, he needs to surprise him a little bit in order to gain this little gap that allows him to move clear, but that was not the right move at the moment, so let's wait and see, because now the speed has definitely decreased as Mathieu van der Poel is getting nearby, almost reapproached by the chasing group.
Pogacar's looking round. Pidcock's refused to come through and do any work just yet. Pogacar knows that he hasn't got rid of Pidcock just yet. He's still there. There might just be one little opportunity is there before they get to the top of the Poggio for Pogacar to try and strike again. But Pidcock showed no sign of being able to be dropped. This is it. This is the last little steep section, I think, before the top.
Yeah, there is soon there is going to be, when they're going to change and the wall is going to be on the left side of the ride, it's going to be a little bit harder section, but I think it's going to be hard for Pogacar dropping Tom Pidcock, as he was not able to do it before. But let's wait and see, because this man is it's an infinite reserve of energy, as we see, like the maximum gradient is about to be kicking, as with a big gear, Tom Pidcock still able to follow.
Confetti raining down on the world champion. Is he going to win Milan-Sanremo for the first time in his career? Is he going to add Milan-Sanremo to his extraordinary list of monument victories? Well, nobody knows, because Tom Pidcock has never raced as closely matched as Tadej Pogacar as he has just now, as Last year's winner, surely, is seeing the race win go up the road and out of sight at 17 seconds. Mathieu van der Poel, barring accident or miracle, is out of contention here. It looks for all the world like we're going to have a new winner of Milan-Sanremo, and it's going to be one of these two men as they head towards the top of the Poggio. Both brilliant descenders, but Pidcock normally has the edge. Can he make it count? Will he have the audacity to try and attack Tadej Pogacar on this critical descent off the Poggio? It's going to be fascinating to find out.
Pidcock's fast. Don't discount Pidcock when it comes to a head-to-head sprint. And Ned, you and I, watching Tom Pidcock grow up from the youth days into his junior days.
It's how he began.
It's how he began. It was his bread and butter. And he's, despite being small in stature, he's really fast. He's really powerful. Excellent track rider as well, with great turn of speed.
Here we go. It's the famous left-hand turn, probably the most famous left-hand turn in the whole world of cycling. As round they go and onto this descent. Now then, watch Pidcock. Will he come off the wheel and attack Pogacar?
And they were 10 seconds faster than last year. This, to give an indication, that was not Mathieu van der Poel cracking, but it was just today flying over this climb of the Poggio. As Mathieu van der Poel approaching the descent with a slight advantage over the chasing peloton, which is large in number, so the podium is still possible for this group, as the duo seems like unreachable. And now is Tom Pidcock taking the lead, and probably is going to try something that's, well, at least what we expect for him to do.
He could do a mixture of both here, can't he, Hannah? He can think about how he's probably got the edge on Pogacar in the sprint, especially an potentially injured Pogacar. But that's not to say that he can't just ask the question on this descent. Maybe not go full throttle, Jacopo, but just push it and see if he can find a moment of weakness.
Yeah, and also, like, even if you're not able to drop him, I'll force him to chase you down once you're at the bottom of the descent. You know, he can, burn a little bit of matches for today. He can also help out Tom Pidcock in the final sprint.
And if you're Tadej Pogacar, well, as he already resigned himself that this all comes down to a mano in Sanremo on the approach to the Via Roma, will it be that script, or can he attack Pidcock? In the frame of mind he's in at the moment, Tadej Pogacar, this is just a man of total willpower, isn't it? He just wants this so much. He's determined not to let this opportunity that he's fashioned through total aggression and raw power. He does not want to let this chance slip through his fingers. This might be his best chance he ever gets of winning Milan-Sanremo.
Yeah, and he's even attacking Tom Pidcock in the descent. He's taking the lead and trying to push hard and put Tom Pidcock on the edge and hoping for him to get distance.
18 seconds back to Van der Poel, who's about to be caught by what remains of the peloton on this descent. These two are flying now as Pogacar just gets out of the saddle. Trying to accelerate away from Pidcock. He's just watching that figure in white, reading his line, possibly waiting to pick him off if he spies a moment where he can put Pogacar on the back foot. But it is Pogacar dictating terms at the moment.
Could be a bit of history to be made here. A world champion hasn't won Sanremo since 1983, Giuseppe Torroni. So,
I think
all the world champions over the years, and Pogacar's in prime position here to try and take his first Sanremo, but as world champion.
I think whatever way you cut it, it's going to be history, isn't it?
Of course.
Whatever way you cut it.
Several bits of history.
We're nearly off this descent now, just this left-hander and then a long straight approach before they drop down onto the main road. Inside 3 kilometers for the front of the race. How organised are they behind? How far behind are they? Feels like they're over 10 or 15 seconds behind. We've lost the timings on the screen, but don't rule the bunch out yet, especially if these two try and play games. It's not done yet, is it?
Yeah, 23 seconds according to the graphic, as Tom Pidcock giving some pull ahead of Tadej Pogacar. So the collaboration is there. The duo will eventually collaborate till the end. Let's see who has something left in the tank for the sprint. I mean, now it's not a normal sprint, it's a sprint after 297 kilometers. Tadej Pogacar crashed, as you can clearly see on his skin suit, like completely shredded, and very responsive, like the best shape ever of Tom Pidcock. Who's he going to win? I mean, it's exciting.
Just a bit. Tadej Pogacar looks round just to check that time gap behind as Tom Pidcock knows now that 2 kilometres out is far too far out to be playing games, and he does a turn on the front, and look how big this chase group is, one of the biggest chase groups in recent Milan-Sanremo history. And it's Lidl Trek who are trying to bring this back for Mads Pedersen. Mathieu van der Poel has been caught. Lidl Trek still with numbers, 19 seconds, 1.7k to go. Pogacar looks round and checks. Pidcock will have to come through again and do another turn on the front, I would imagine. And he will do, because it's far too far out to risk anything yet, and they still need to keep the pace high.
Yes, going down a little bit, 18 seconds at the moment. As
Wout van Aert launches off the front in pursuit of the front of the race. He's gone clear, he's got a gap, and Van Aert, not quite the rider that he was a few years ago, but a former winner of this race, Milan-Sanremo, knows how to do a short, hard effort like that. So he's off in pursuit of these three, and if he gets across, that is a real problem for Pidcock and Pogacar.
Yeah, it's 14 seconds now, it's going down 30 seconds, so they're getting closer, as these duo they're not allowed to look at each other getting too much tactical.
They can't afford to do this at all. They need to continue here, because this is getting quite desperate. All it takes is for them to look at each other, and the gap comes down to single figures.
Well, Van Aert is visible now behind them, maybe 100 metres or so behind them, but they're well into the final kilometre, the series of turns that lead to the Via Roma, as Tom Pidcock finds himself in the perfect position now on the wheel of Tadej Pogacar. Has he got the kick to deliver the victory? Tadej Pogacar swings across, looks for that moment where he can unleash his sprint. He knows that Van Aert is coming, but surely they've got enough roads to play with here to make this a battle of the ages between the two of them. We're going to have a new winner of Milan-Sanremo unless Van Aert can get across, but we're inside the last half kilometre. They slow right up. Tadej Pogacar aware of Tom Pidcock. Pidcock impassive, waiting to unleash his sprint, still too far out. Patience now for Pidcock. Pogacar, well, what a story he's written. Can he round it off? Can the world champion deliver the performance that gets him this yearned-for victory? Pogacar opens up his sprint. Pidcock still in the shadow of Pogacar. Pogacar trying to